Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Deadline Day Live. I am Josh, joined with Kieran tonight to see you through for the next 2 hours of Birmingham City's transfers, just to have a discussion about everything going on and maybe have a look at the wider picture of what's going on. So, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me again.
That's all right. So, obviously, we all woke up this morning to Emmanuel Ayew had joined us last night. Good sign that was. Obviously, we were just recording a video and he's joined at the perfect time.
Yeah, and a few things we probably need to clear up, obviously, from the end of that video. Obviously, we were watching that live as it was coming through, so that was quite exciting. Just as we were saying goodbye, it couldn't have come through at a better time. Obviously, it wasn't a £3 million agreement like we thought it was at the time, coming in on loan. But still, nonetheless, he's here. He's got the season with us. Let's see how he does, and let's see if we can get him in before the end of the season. If he's done good enough, let's buy him. Let's move on.
From what I'm understanding, from what I've read today online, is we've brought him on a season loan. At any point during this season, we can activate his purchase fee of £3 million, which is it's in the region of £3 to £3.5 million. So obviously we can, ideally, if he started well in the first couple of months and get to January, I don't see why we don't just buy him in January if it's going well and see how he goes. But obviously looking at his style of play, he very much reminds me of Sanderson. He's not just the hair as well. I was watching the video of him earlier and he's very strong. He's very good in the air attacking and defending wise. There's a video that was going around of him that Blues posted. And he's hit the ball from like 25 yards out. And I was like, it's what we need is a striker or someone that's just going to score. If it has to come from our centre-half, I'm not fussed.
Yeah, I mean, to be like Sanderson, that's good for us. I mean, the defence is now looking solid. Can't remember the last time I ever thought that about... Actually, I do. When we had Scott Dan and Roger Johnson and they were on that absolute storming season where they were just... unbeatable. If we've got Long, I know he's been great. He's a little bit slow at times, so maybe someone like Ayew brings in a little bit more pace in those areas where they're up against fast strikers. It brings in that little bit more extra. But to buy technically a Sanderson and a second like Sanderson in one transfer window, that's amazing for us.
It's really good. I feel a bit sorry for Long because I don't really know how. Obviously, a lot of people will look at it and goes, Ayew and Sanderson is our centre-half partners. They're both tall, strong, fast, agile players. But Long has played so well. You can't fault them at the moment. And I can't see him being dropped. So it opens a question of, do we go back to that dreaded 5 at the back and we bring in Ayew just to play in there? Or is it he's brought in Ayew to give Long that ability to have every other game off? Because against Cardiff, he looked very, very leggy and very tired.
I mean, he's getting on a bit now. And as Mark Ritz has said in the comments, he said about, do we think any of them will start tomorrow? I don't think you can drop Long just because someone else has come in. He's been so impressive this season. And not overly sure if they're available to play tomorrow, but you can't just bring someone in and replace Long with the way he's been playing for us. So that connection him and Sanderson have got is solid. So I think he's got to come in and earn his space.
I can see a comment by Kieran Davis also asking if they're available tomorrow. As far as my understanding it is, as long as the paperwork is completed by 11 p.m. tonight, they are available to play tomorrow. That paperwork that gets sent into the EFL basically registers them to play. Obviously, they're coming from abroad. They've had to wait for his visa beforehand, so they both should be eligible to play tomorrow if the paperwork was done early enough that definitely Ayew will be allowed. Drama, however you pronounce it. I'm not sure whether he might be able to, might not. But if he can, I think he's got to be shooing start because I've had the announcement about half an hour ago that everyone else would have to say that Josh Williams has gone out on loan to Cheltenham, which obviously I think he's going to do. We'll come back to that later, but it'll do great on him. But Ethan Laird's obviously out for a couple of weeks. Josh Williams has gone out on loan. That leaves us Marcel Oakley at right back. if we've got Drama coming in that's going to be able to play the same ability, I don't see why he don't start tomorrow.
Yeah, I completely agree. Someone like that in an area where we're very, very thin, with only Marcel Oakley, like he did okay at the end of the game the other day, like we said on the podcast yesterday, but he's not an out-and-out starter yet. I think he's got a lot of improvement being around. If he doesn't go out on loan and he's around some of these defenders that he will be, that could be huge for him. This could be like a latest collaboration, if you like, that could really drive him on and bring him into a season where towards the end of the season he may have drastically improved, and then moving forward he's going to be a serious talent. He's still only young, and he's doing bits already, but he could just focus in on a little bit more of the fine tuning of the defending. And I actually think the same thing for Longelo, the other side. I believe he's a winger through and through. His defending hasn't been creditable at times, but with the defenders we've got around us, we can use that to our advantage. On the terms of bringing the five at the back, Longelo is perfect for that. So if we had someone like Led on the other side with the Iwu, Long and Sanderson in the rear, that just sounds so solid. And I don't think we've had this many options just in defence, let alone going forward through midfield and attack. That defence.
I think as well, you look at the last couple of seasons with looking at the players they've brought in. You look at Laird, Buchanan, even Long, Sanderson, Awu, Drama. They're all strong players, and that's the difference. Where we brought in before players that were, oh no, we've got half an hour left of a transfer deadline. We've got to get a player. Oh, we'll just get him on loan, and they're not the strongest of players. So I think he's tactically this year he's gone and looked for the players that they are going to perform at their best. And you look at Laird and Buchanan start to the season. Buchanan hasn't put a foot wrong, and I think them kind of players coming in and the players that they're now looking at, Craig Gardner deserves the key to the city of Birmingham, because the turnaround he's done in
man.
Yes, the 51 days, or I think it was earlier, since Wagner and Brady took over, and even before that, last season bringing in Hannibal, getting that Chong deal completed, and other things like that. The work he's doing behind the scenes, unreal for the club at the moment. And I think he's only taken us forward. And I don't think he'd be bringing in these calibers of players if he just thought, oh, okay, they're just like we've had every other season. But it's one of those. Another big thing we got today, obviously, been announced. George Hall staying until 2026. What a deal that is.
I think we've got injury to thank for that. A little bit of the Blues fan in him wanting to stay, but I think we've got injuries to thank. He, like we said yesterday, He's been consistently injured, it seems. So I think that's done us a favour by warding off a few of the bigger clubs, maybe not willing to want to take a risk. It allows us to ask for more money as well. If they do come in, like let's say he comes back from this injury he's got now, smashes it, come January or the end of the season, if he's had a good season where he's been consistent, we've then got a table to ask for more money, rather than just letting him go on the cheap. But buzzing to have him here, buzzing to that. In terms of the squad in and around him as well, we've got a very vulnerable squad. Like there's a few players, we've got some good players in, but we've got them cheap because they're either returning from serious injuries or they're known to be able to carry an injury pretty consistently. So to give that squad depth that we're starting to get now, and those options where if someone does tweak, we're not having to force them in like we had to do the last few years. Like Maxime Collin, like he was playing for the last, I think it was like 9 games of the season with injections in his legs, trying to just get through without being in pain. We haven't got that now. We can just play just someone else or just tweak it, their minutes and stuff like that. So, George Hall is going to be like a new signing. So I rate the club for that. Craig Gardner deserves to be knighted as far as I'm concerned. From driving in the new owners to everything that he's been running with Frank through the transfers, just chef's kiss for Craig Gardner.
I can see a lot of you asking regarding Oliver Burke and Zakiri, which obviously we will get onto. But there's a comment here by Logan on Facebook that's asked, is it true he's about to be announced? Only thing I can say, mate, is I hope it is. We are no further into the now of knowing what you guys know. We are literally sat here, we're looking on Twitter, we've got people on social media constantly having a look through. We're just waiting for Fabrizio Romano to announce it again like he had last night and this morning. But unfortunately, sorry to be a burden, we don't know at the moment. As much as I can see a few of you asking who would I prefer, Burke or Zakiri, I think I wouldn't mind either of them, to be fair, because we need a striker. Burke, on the other hand, he's obviously not had the greatest start to his, continues to his career. He's had a bit of a rough patch. And I think maybe Eustace is the person to turn him around, and he seems to do a lot of one-on-one working, so it might be that he's got the right people in to work with Burke. And then on the other hand, you've got Zakiri, who, if you're looking at his stats from the last couple of years, he reminds me a lot of Zlatan.
Baby Zlatan.
Baby Zlatan, as I keep calling him, yeah. So I'm happy with either of them, to be fair. I'm not going to be I'd like both of them, to be fair. I wouldn't argue if we could bring both of them in. It'd be a great end to the transfer window.
Yeah, and with Zakiri, I feel like he brings a nice polished front line, where Burke is a little bit more rough and tumble, a little bit more like the Dukey side of things. Not always in it for the goals, but sometimes hold-up play can be just as important as goals, meaning we're able to get the defence forward and get them out, and then allow the team to attack to allow others in, where he'll bring in that side of things rather than just being a through ball or around ball that we've got lots and lots of pace up front. We need some more strength. Yeah,
I think where it works best is you bring Zakiri in. Zakiri is a striker. He is you got your front three. He is your up front striker. He is the guy in the middle of the box. He is scoring. But what I think Burke brings is, rather than playing him as a striker, you play him as that centre forward role, where him, Anderson and Dembele as the front three, they've all got pace, they've all got the ability. They would be able to switch with each other. He'd be able to go out on the left and cut in, or go out on the right and cut in. And same with Anderson and Dembele, which we do really well. And if you add then Miyoshi into that position just behind, I think that's a dangerous attacking forward. But as for Birmingham City, I think the way that we play, I've just seen it there, Hogan's work rate, but we need a 15 to 20 goal scorer. 100% agree with that, Rich, because Hogan's work rate is incredible. But the problem is his finishing touch. I think if you bring someone like Zakiri in who has that work rate and can score, and I think even if Burke comes in and he has that work rate and he scores, I'm pretty sure no one's going to be complaining where the goals are coming from. They're just going to be caring that the ball's hitting the back of the net. But I just think, my personal opinion, no hate on Ollie Burke, big fan of his, but I think Zakiri would just be that. If we got Zakiri in, that's just that final finishing touch we need to the team. I think going forward for the season, he'd be the ideal person that I'd be looking to bring in.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad notes for Burke in the comments, but you bring in, like when we first signed Duke, a lot of people weren't happy with Duke, and then he's gone on to become a club legend. He's absolutely due to have a statue. He puts in his body on the line every single game, in every single minute. Is he fast? No. Is he going to break through run? No. Does he do the nitty-gritty, dirty work that allows other people, like when him and Shea Adams were playing together, it was amazing, and what a team they were.
Him and Shea reminded me of Little and Large, where back in the days you had Peter Crouch and Jermaine Defoe. You had the tall striker that got the head-ons. And you had the fast striker like Shea that would put the ball in the back of the net. So
we've got a lot of pace up front now, and Duke as much as we love him, he's doing great this season already. But maybe someone like Burke can come in and do that role better than I think Sam Cosgrove could. But we'll see. We'll find out where that gets us to. And like Dazzo says, I'm also a massive Hogan fan. Like, the guy can't score one-on-ones when he's got time to think about it, but his reactive finishes is where he's best. He is relentless when he's running around the pitch. He makes runs that aren't seen a lot of the time. And I think now we're starting to get the players we've got which can play the passes. His runs are going to become a lot more dangerous this season. We saw like his goal against where he slid in the back post from Miyoshi.
Plymouth.
That was him being where he needs to be clinical. And he also scored the other day where he made a great little run inside that was played through because they saw the pass. And I think we've been lacking that person that can, or people that can play that pass to Hogan to really see what he can do.
So I'm going to look at this comment that I'm seeing from Mark Ritz1. From all of the signings we've made this window, where do you see and or think the club's aim is for this season? Top half of the table or even playoffs? Honestly, with you, Mark, we got the project. Everyone knows about the project now. The project's the biggest thing going in the EFL. I don't think the project is promotion. I honestly don't. I think the project would be, you look at the players we're bringing in. Okay, we brought Stansfield as the only person we brought in on loan that's not a loan to buy. But I think all the other players we brought in, they're all getting 4 or 5 year contracts. They're all getting long-term contracts at short prices at young ages. I think this season would be deemed as what we call a settle-in season. Everyone settle into the squad, gel with each other. Maybe January you bring a couple loans in just to push for places and push that energy. I think next season we look at playoffs or promotion. I think this season's definitely got to be 7th to 12th, maybe, just that top half of the table. We've got to be looking around there, especially with the start that we've had.
Yeah, for me, I revert back to Craig Gardner's 3-year plan. That was just over a year ago. Look at what's happened in that year. Then think of where we could now be in another year. With these players we've got, if we can be pushing for top half, I think if we're just top half, even if it's that first place above the top half, 99% of our fans will be happy. You'll have the 1% of the moaners that even if we won the Champions League would be like, oh, we could have won by 4. But like for us to go from surviving on the last day of the season so consistently for the last few years to then a nice comfortable finish last year, top half this year, and then we've got money to then spend in the close season next season to really round out the team that we'll have. And then I think promotion's the aim for next season. I mean, Don't get me wrong, absolutely buzzing if we get near the playoffs, in the playoffs. Do I think we'll do well in the Premier League if we got promoted? No.
It all depends. If we got promoted, it's one of those. It would all depend. I know obviously there's different regulations for EFL and the Premier League for FFP, but it all depends on if we go via the playoffs. Obviously, everyone who knows football, unless you're born under a rock, knows the Championship playoff final was the most expensive game in football. Look at Nottingham Forest the other year; they won £200 million for getting promoted, and when they brought 23 new players, didn't work out. But I think if we go through the playoffs and we do go up, I think that gives us the money there to spend money. And I think the owners would invest in it. Obviously, we're not going to go do a Todd Bealey and do just over £1 billion in a year, which is absolutely ridiculous, I think, for Chelsea. But I think if we go up and we're looking at spending maybe 50 to £100 million on players that are going to come in and improve our team.
We spent, like 5 million in this transfer window? If we could do that with 5 million, 50 million would be great. And with the youth that we've now got in the team, we've stopped buying old players that are about to like end their careers coming in for their twilight years. We're now buying youth where we can then develop. I really don't think promotions on the cards this year.
I'd be happy with mid-table.
Being realistic, but I'd be happy with a top.
Yeah.
But
I think that's where a lot of our fans are. They hear promotion, they're like, oh, Blues fans are deluded again. You hear it a lot, but I honestly don't. I don't believe that we are ready for promotion. I think there's still a lot to be done at the club. Not just the players. I think I back Eustace. I back all the coaching staff for what we've got, but I feel like the training facilities, we need to be sturdy in a place. Are we only at the Innovation Performance Centre for a year? Are we there forever now? Or we need a bit more clarity on what's going on. And I think then there's just that, we've got a year now to work with the players we've got, work with the club we've got, do the improvements around the stadium, and set ourselves up ready to go for another year where we do then look at that promotion. And I seen a comment a minute ago. I'm just going to try and find it where someone said regarding this comment by Phil, we just need someone with a goal scoring record, and that for me is Andy Zakiri. With Burke, we are just left hoping that Eustace can achieve something with him that no one else has. Going back on that, you look at what Eustace has done with some of the players already. Look at what he's done with Sanderson. Like, Sanderson spent the first year with us, and he left half through the season. I know it was due to injury, but when offered a chance to come back on loan, he went to QPR. He spent that time with Eustace. The second that Eustace then come to Birmingham, he was like, right, I'll go back to Birmingham loan, and now he's come permanently. There is something there that maybe us Blues fans, because we're so used to the terrible situations we've had, we're not quite seeing it with Eustace, but there is something there that Eustace is bringing to the club that is enticing a lot of players. It's not just the Gary Gardner and the Tom Brady effect, because he did it last year. To bring in Chong on a permanent was massive. To bring in Hannibal on a loan, that was also massive, because everyone knows that he was a hot-headed player, but the passion that he brought to the club, that comes from Eustace and getting him playing like that. And I feel like, yeah, okay, Andy Zakiri could be the player, but Burke again, I just think it's one of those.
Can we just allude also to Peter Fout's comment about we need support for Bielik and Sunjic? I think Iwu brings that. He can play centre mid also. And in that cam role, a defender in a cam role, I think that gives him a little bit of versatility there where we could always play him in that. We've got obviously JJ there as well, who is having a great season. Yeah, he had a bit of a wobble the other day, but we've got options. I feel like in every position now, we're not relying on one person specifically to do that exact role and that's it.
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting in people that can cover 2 or 3 roles, playing little triangles, which means on match days and stuff, we can actually switch around slightly and confuse defenders or midfielders where they were playing against this sort of player, and now we've moved them slightly over here. So I feel like we may have already filled that hole. Yet another centre defensive mid that solidifies that. But I think Iwu kind of brings that for us.
Looking at the comment that Logan's put on after he mentions that 50 million don't even buy you a decent Premiership player now, I kind of disagree. Bearing in mind, I've just seen Callum Hudson-Odoi gone to Nottingham Forest for 8 million. And he was deemed to be the next best thing. Obviously, I'd get his career dropped off a bit, but bringing in players like that are just going to push you and give you that little boost in the league, I think we can do well with that. But a lot of comments here that I can see people talking about. Junior Dixon, let's have a discussion about him, because obviously we know what he's doing with the under-21s at the moment. The guy scored 4 goals in 3 games or something stupid like that. Is it too early maybe to bring him up to the first team? Or let us know in the comments what you think. But I don't know, but a completely different style of play. But let us know in the comments what you think about Junior Dixon that starts so far. I personally would give him probably a couple months, maybe look at January if we're still needing a top striker. Then maybe start looking at
the academies. You can bring them up any time. If he continues to put the ball in the net, we can't help but look at him. depends on what's going on the pitch. But if he continues to show he knows where the goal is and he's with our academy, put him in the matchday squad. Get him in and around playing with the players.
It's
Get
this
him in
comment
on
from
the training
Christopher.
sessions.
I don't get why he weren't in the team for Cardiff. I personally would have put him in that team for Cardiff. Not necessarily started him, but maybe put him on the bench and have him as that brought-on player when you're bringing on off Stansfield and you're bringing off Cosgrove. But I would take the if it meant taking a gamble on him and we needed the goals, then if he's going to come onto the pitch and score goals, then he could rocket his career. You look at Jordan James, Alfie Chang, George Hall. I said the same thing to you at the same time they started coming. I don't think they were ready, and what pie in the face that's been because they've absolutely smashed it so far. But I don't know. I've seen a comment here about Clark Harris from Peterborough. I'm saying this to you all transfer window. Peterborough want him gone. I don't get how we haven't looked at getting him. He's banged in stupid amount of goals. I think he's got 120 odd goals in 180 odd games. His stats for League One and the Championship are unreal.
But that begs to
we
differ.
looking at something better?
From me, that begs to differ. If he's scoring that sort of goals, why do they want him gone? That would be what I'd be asking. And Eustace is bringing that team spirit. It's all about everybody's in this together, blah, blah, blah. Does someone like that come in and upset the apple cart? And that's why we're like, no, he doesn't fit in with our team, which is where we could potentially start to be picky and be like, no, you don't fit our squad. This is the memento here. No, it's potentially that. I mean, yes, great, he can score goals, but if he's going to upset the apple cart and the rest of the team's going to start performing, or he's got an attitude or something like that. We've had players with attitudes in the past. It doesn't work. You could be as great as you want. We all know from Ted Lasso that you come in with an attitude, it doesn't work. You could be the greatest player ever, but you get in the boot and then you come back with a bit of humility and you actually start playing. It works. And that could be something where he's not willing to take that risk on if he has got
he is very much known, Clark Harris, is to have an attitude of that kind of type. You look at him and you just think, you see him on the pitch. I watched him at Peterborough the other year. They played Swansea in the Championship. And he is that kind of striker that is, you look at him and you think, oh, he's going to be rough. He's going to give your defenders a nightmare of a game. But his attitude apparently off the field, like you said, we've had him in the past, he's not the best. So if he's going to score goals and sort his attitude out, maybe it would have been a chance to take on him. But I think looking at the players we're looking at higher caliber as well. We're not looking at a League One guaranteed goal scorer. We're looking at Premier League goal scorers. We're looking at Zakiri, who's been playing in Europe. You looked at Awu, we've just brought him in as a defender, but he's a defender that's been playing in Europe. So it's high caliber players. So yeah, Billy's got a good one asking, with Ruddy out of contract at the end of the season and Evers not the best starting keeper, would you bring a keeper in January? And if so, who? Obviously, we've brought in 12 players so far. It's the only position we haven't brought anyone in.
For me, no. If you listen to Ben Foster's on his chat the other day saying how much
Ruddy is
improved. He's really brought himself back to almost his prime. He's been playing great for us. If he plays great and we're getting towards the end of the season, offer him another contract. Because if he's stopping the goals and pulling out the saves he is, his distribution is good, which is where Ethers scares me. Ethers, great shot stopper, terrible distributor. Whenever the ball's...
Do you spend the rest of the season now with Ruddy? If Ruddy doesn't want to take that 1-year contract extension, do you look at Ruddy maybe helping Etheridge with his distribution? So come the last, say, 5-6 games of the season, you maybe look at Etheridge starting so he can show the difference. Or do you bring someone in January with Ruddy knowing that he's going, that will be happy to just stay at number 2 for the remainder of the season and work with Ruddy to come, as well as sitting there trying to convince Ruddy just to take that year extension of not necessarily that year extension of playing, but maybe just being there with Mike Taylor, training the young keepers up, bringing them through. Like, I've seen a save, I put it into our group chat earlier, Jaycock making a save for Gloucester the other day. The last time I seen that guy play, someone put 6 past him at Blackpool, and the save he pulled out the other day was incredible save. But is it one of those where do you call Jaycock back in January and try and work with him, or what would you do if you know full well if Ruddy was to announce tomorrow that at the end of the season he's retiring, there's no chance? Where are you looking in January? And quickly, just to answer your question, Matthew Davis. Yes, Etheridge is also out of contract in the end of the season. All 3 of our keepers have only got a 1 year left on their contract, which is this season. I
know this is going to sound odd, but I'd go after that Peacock Farrell. He's
at Burnley.
He's a good little goalkeeper, and I watched him a few times when he was at Leeds, and he just needs to be more certified. Like, this is my box, this is what I'm doing, and a little bit more vocal. But he's a good shot stopper, and he can pass out from the back. Someone like that. I mean, I'm not overly skilled to talk about goalkeepers. I don't know that many, to be honest.
I would be looking at Rodak from Fulham. He's a very good keeper. Obviously, was pushed out because Bert Leno coming in, and they brought another keeper in. But Rodak, it was a very good keeper for Fulham in the Championship, and he kept him in a lot of matches. I remember watching him play against us a couple of seasons ago, and we'd had some like 3 or 4 shots in the space of about 10 minutes, and every one he was.
Yes. Peter Falk's got it.
Matthias Ark? No, he's just gone Millwall, isn't he? He's just signed permanently on Millwall. We ain't going to get him in, but
we got some contacts at Millwall.
But no, I'd be looking at Rodak, and maybe your worst comes to worst, you try and get you get Etheridge to stay another year, but you've got to be pushing Ruddy to be staying a year, because it's not necessarily as well just the shot stopping that Ruddy brings. He's very demanding, very controlling, and you saw it against Cardiff compared to Plymouth and Leeds. How much Etheridge is quiet and lets Sanderson control that back line, where Ruddy, the second one of them's making a mistake, he's on to them.
Yeah.
You're not in the right place, or you're not doing this. We've sat in the stands before, and you can hear Ruddy shouting over the 15,000, 16,000 fans in St Andrews. I think that's what he brings, is that management behind.
I think personally, if it's getting towards the end of the season and he's umming and ahhing, or he wants a 2-year contract, I say we give him a 2-year contract, but the second year is more management of a protege. And if he's not performing, he's getting older. For me, we try everything to keep Ruddy, and try and do everything we can to keep him, because he's Mr. Safe Hands. He is Mr. Distribution at the moment. He's playing well. And most of all, he's a leader. The captains will listen to him. The referees will listen to him. And is there nothing that guy can't save, really?
There was a comment come in from Christopher Thomas to say, seeing Cosgrove has agreed a termination of his contract to join Barnsley, and Zakiri joining after Burke. Not sure how legit the source is. I'm not going to lie, mate. It sounds like someone's got your pants down. I'm making you look a bit silly, because I can't see you getting Burke and Zakiri. If we did, unreal. But as far as I'm aware, Charlton were the front runners for Cosgrove. Last time we saw it was Charlton, Derby, Kilmarnock or Motherwell were the 4 after him. But we don't know. It's transfer deadline day. Anything can happen. So,
thank God we haven't got Harry Redknapp hanging out of our car park.
Good old Harry.
Yeah.
Going on to Alan's comment with Ruddy, I thought he signed a year of a year's option. Yes, I believe he has got a year extension on his contract, but it all depends, obviously, if he's wanting to take that extra year, because it might be that after this season he might not want it. If we're talking about bringing young players in, I've seen a comment saying we need someone to come in that's young. Now, I know he's, I'm not sure how old he is, but I know Ruddy's got a son that's playing in goal, and he's just started playing for Wales, hasn't he? Surely be someone to bring in through the academy, maybe, and
baby Ruddy,
and maybe get a baby Ruddy in, yeah, maybe give him a little contract, see how he works out with the academy or whatever age group he's in. But he's just been called up to the Wales international team, so he can't be doing that bad if he's being called up to them at the age he is. So, someone's put Rodak would be perfect if we could pull that off next year. That would be great. A lot of people say about Matija Sarkic again. He's just gone to Millwall. I can't see him. The only way I see him leaving Millwall is if they're looking at promotion, which they've got to be looking at with almost missing on playoffs last year. If you haven't checked out our podcast, by the way, with Paul Robinson, go and have a look now because it gives you good details into his coaching roles and stuff like that. But Millwall, if they're not looking at playoffs and they have a really bad season, does Sarkic look at somewhere else because maybe he's not getting the promise that he was put there? But I really can't see him leaving Millwall after 12 months. But
stranger things have happened. I loved him, and someone like that would be great. Fairly decent shot stopper, but commanding and can play out from the back. Like, he's young, he would have been a bit of a risk, and then obviously his injury. Why we didn't smash in and go for him when he become available, I don't know, because we've been dying out for someone like that. I mean, we could have let Ethers go, get his wage bill off, and at least like fill the gap with someone really decent that could work alongside Ruddy and really show the talent that he's got.
I just had a look on Twitter quickly just to see if there's anything coming up. Someone's put up about there's a flight coming into Birmingham Airport from Biggin Hill. I reckon it could be Zakiri. You know what? Fans are funny. They see little things and they have to make a big spectacle. It could for all we know, it could be the new cook coming into the kitchen. But obviously, as for the situation going on with Burke and Zakiri or any further players coming in, we are with you guys. Any announcements we see, we will announce them as soon as we get them through. But we're behind. Well, we're not seeing anything at the moment. But
has anybody seen that photo of someone at the training ground?
Yeah, so I saw that earlier, and I'm pretty sure from after seeing George Hall's contract extension video, I'm pretty sure it was George Hall. I can't see it being anyone big. A lot of people are saying it can't be George Hall, but I think it is. It's got the same kind of hairstyle that he has, same similar build. So I can't see it being anyone there. I feel like it'd be a bit more. We'd know a bit more if it was someone big there. So I'm pretty sure that as soon as that post went up, there's probably about 100 people went down to the training ground to try and find out. But there was a photo then posted after that was in the car park, and it was George Hall. Very clearly could tell it was George Hall from the front. So obviously being injured as well would make sense him doing the video rather than training. Peter Falk, no. I don't know if there's a new cut coming in, but Brady's got his nutrition guys coming in. So we could be looking at a whole
Here we go.
coming in. Very excited about it.
Romano announces new cook at Birmingham City.
Debbie from Balsall Heath has just signed a new contract. We're excited about the 2 new signs announced today. Do you think we need to make any more signs today, or do you think we are set until January? What do you think?
I think one more. We need some more support up front. There's no way, however many Blues fans are on Facebook and Twitter are wrong. We're all seeing the same thing. We're very light up there. We've done very well to build and bolster the squad through defence and midfield. That goal scoring is what we're really lacking now. Last year, we created so many chances, but never had someone who could put them in the net. This year, I feel like we'll create lots of chances. We've got a lot of players on the periphery of midfield who will be able to score goals and chip in here and there. But I don't think we've got anybody prolific up there. So, yes, one more I'd be happy with. I'd hold out any more loans until January.
Not going to say it's a reliable source. I'm not going to say where the source come from just in case it causes any issues. But Have just read on Twitter that apparently an hour ago a medical was completed at Birmingham. Hopefully the player to be announced if the deal goes through in time. So that very much could be Burke or Zakiri. There's no actual answer to who it could be, but apparently there's been a medical completed at Birmingham in the last hour.
Interesting. Can we talk about Josh Williams going out to Cheltenham and see if there's any more that we think should be going out? I think that's great for him. Get him some constant football. They weren't bad when we went and watched them the other day. So that's quite a decent team. I think that'd be good. A little bit of experience for him. Let's see if he can keep consistent in their squad, and then obviously he's another one building for the future. So, do we think anybody else is going out though?
I don't think there's anyone necessarily that I'd be, because all the usual players that I'd like get them out on loan, like your Ryan Sturks and stuff, they've all left. The only other one I would have said would have been Oakley. Obviously, you guys let us know what you think in the comments, but I'd have said Oakley, but then that gives us only 2 right backs. I get, obviously, we've got 2 great right backs, but obviously Ethan Laird out injured for the next couple of weeks is kind of, do we really want to leave ourselves with one? Don't think it's the best option, but apart from that, I think we've got quite a good squad that I've seen like some of our loan players that have gone out already. Obviously, Josh Andrews, who's left us on loan, he's gone to Accrington, I believe, has got like 4 or 5 goals this season already, so he's playing well. So it's more, rather than getting players out on loan, I think keep the team that we've got now, focus on that team. Oakley, obviously I can see Luke's just put Oakley isn't good enough for us. Bakuna is the last case is better. But I think if you keep Oakley around the team and you can see the kind of effort, the energy and the standard that our players are playing to, I think he'll either leave in January and he goes out on loan then, but I'd keep him for now just the fact of you got the Christmas break coming up, and what you don't want is your 2 right backs getting injured and not being able to play in it. But
yeah, especially with how frequent Laird gets injured, we could potentially be down to 1 right back more often than not, and we need that support. Then January comes, we could get another one in if that is the case, and send him out on loan. Can we just talk about that Billy comment after the cup exit?
After the cup exit, do you think we will focus on the FA Cup when it comes to it, or would you prefer if we fully stayed focused on the league? I think it's 50-50. I think depends who we draw in the FA Cup. If we're drawing someone, no offence to them, but someone like Cheltenham again, I think you play a weak squad and not really care about it. But if you go into the round and you get in like another Cardiff or Blackburn or something like that, I think you put out a bit of a better squad. But to be fair, I'd fully focus on the league and just see where we finish this year. I don't think we should be worrying about cups until we've got potentially that little bit of a deeper squad. Yeah,
I agree. As much as we all love a cup run, I just think we're never. I'm not going to say never. We're very unlikely to go and win it again. So why would we commit everything to it to do it? That's where, for me, I'd be pushing the young lads into them. And if we get through with a team mostly full of youth and injury returnees, great. But I don't think our main squad is big enough for a real cup run. So I see them more of a hindrance for this season, especially.
I can see Nathan's put on sending Gardner and Cosgrove out on loan. I think Cosgrove's going to go, to be fair. I feel like he'll be the last late one to be announced.
Who's going to have Gardner, though?
I think Gardner's now to the point he's too injury, isn't he? Too many injuries, I don't think. Unless he's going down to League One, League Two. He might go and join Troy Deeney at Forest Green, to be fair.
Yeah, or Solihull Moors or someone like that.
Someone like that, yeah. I just had a look at Oakley's stats for last season, because obviously Peter put, send him out on loan now, might damage his confidence. Well, he played 16 games for Arbroath on loan last season. Was recalled from a loan and then sent to Queen's Park for another 13. So I think you send him on loan if you're looking at that kind of ability. You're looking at League Two or Scottish kind of football to send him to. But do we necessarily need a player going to them kind of teams where the football's not the greatest? Or do we want to be looking at sending him to a team like, I don't know, Derby, Portsmouth, Bolton, where they're going to be at the top of League One and maybe getting that bit of experience in a tougher league, but not quite Championship? Or even send him somewhere like Sheffield Wednesday, who obviously haven't had the greatest of starts at the moment, that he might be able to add to their team, bolster their attack and get some playing time in the Championship. So what do you reckon about that? Where would you be looking at sending Oakley if you were sending him on
loan? Somewhere like Charlton. Or
top half of League One kind of thing.
Yeah, and see if he can do it there. Because if he can't cut it there, then he's not going to step into our squad for another season or 2 seasons unless he has a Jude Bellingham pre-season where he goes from this scrawny little kid to Jude Bellingham. I think where we had that one close season where he went from a little kid to demanding. Will it harm him? Yes, maybe, but also it could be he might go out and smash it. So that's up to him as to where it goes. Sending him to 2 lower league, I think, could potentially ruin his mentality. But
send him somewhere like League Two, could that not build his confidence more? If he goes to someone like MK, look at, I hate to say it, but look at Jonathan Lecco. He's gone to League Two and he's scoring goals. I personally would be looking at, if you're looking at the Tom Brady fit, I'd be sending him to Wrexham. Get him somewhere there where they've got a following behind them, so there's a lot of pressure on their players, but they're not as demanding as the Championship.
Edgy about Cosgrove. I think Cosgrove's been harsh done by. Watching him, he come on a little bit at the Cheltenham game, was nothing but a persistent thorn in their side in defence. He's not fast, but he can run. He's physical in the air. He's got quite good link-up play. I think he's just been unlucky with us. He went out. He did all right in on loan last season.
Would I give 33 scoring 8 last season at Plymouth?
Yeah, I mean, that's not bad. And then they look at the squad they had playing us the other day. They're not a bad squad. So to be able to do that, he's not bad. Do we create more chances? Yes. Should he have scored against them the other day? I know. But
looking at his stats, we signed him from Aberdeen for £2.5 million. He played 79 games for Aberdeen, scoring 31 goals. Since he's been at Birmingham, he's played 14 games. Since 2021, he's played 14 games. So people saying, "Oh, he's not good." How can you judge someone on 14 games when that's probably spread over 3 years, 3 seasons? I think personally, he should have he maybe deserves a chance. I feel like if Hogan's not performing, we've obviously got no Juki for the next couple of games. I know we've got Stansfield on the bench, but I think Cosgrove makes a bench if he's not gone, and maybe, like Edgy said, give him till January. And if he's no good in January, you look at either selling him and hopefully getting money, or send him on loan to hopefully have a good season. And
I'd quite like to see a combination between Cosgrove and Stansfield. I think that would be they're like a young version of Hogan and Duke. So yeah. I think that could work.
So off what Tom said, personally, I'd like to see JJ on loan. Pre-season proved he could be a threat, but he needs more game time in a League One side. Unfortunately, Tom, I'm going to say I don't agree with you there. I agree he should go on loan and maybe go and get experience, but I don't think you should be looking as low a League One. Maybe Sheffield Wednesday. Again, that kind of team, a low league championship team. But I think keeping him in the Championship and having him alone there, where he might be able to get more game time in a different kind of structure, would be good. But I don't agree that he should go to League One. If he's going to League One, he's got to be going Barnsley or somewhere like that, right at the top of League One, where I think he might do well. But a lot of people send him on loan, but we did the same with Odin Bailey. And I thought Odin Bailey was quality. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, Blue's like, nah, sold him. And I think he could have had a good career with us. But what do you reckon about JJ? Where would you send him?
I wouldn't. He's staying right here. I think he's developing well. He's going to be in and around Bielik and Sunjic.
That's the position he's got to play, though. You can't be playing him out on the right or attacking. So I think that's where
he's not a right winger. No, we've got right wingers. That we're not. He's not out there. He looks lost out there. He is central midfield. You could play in CDM, just a normal midfielder, potentially even into like a cam at times because he can pick out a pass. But for me, JJ stays. He's one of our good youth prospects, and we should develop him here. Like, I don't think we should be sending him out to League One, especially, or even to another Championship squad. I think he's got a place here. And pre-season shows he can do what he can do. We just need to support around him.
I've seen a few comments about this, and this is going to be a very touchy subject for some people. It's going to go a bit both ways. Do you think, as a free agent, Lyle Taylor could be an answer? He's 33 and played in a while. If you can see on my shirt, he's one of 3 signatures on my shirt. So I'm going to say yes. I think Lyle Taylor, I said this to you the other week, not only can he find the net, but he winds fans up in the best way. You look at him in that West Brom game, he scored the penalty, and he was winding their players at walking off. He was laughing and smug at the fans, and it was rattling them. And I think that's what he brings. Other than the goals, he brings that energy of a Hannibal from last season. We had Taylor the year before, Hannibal last season. Free agent, I'd take him.
I'd take him if there's such thing as a pay as you play thing.
Yeah.
And if he comes on at 70, 80 minutes for a last minute, real push. Absolutely what Rich has just said. The guy is a great bloke. To have him around, having a laugh and a joke around the players and the fans. And he reminded me very much when he played for us of Savage, because you like him on your team, you hate him as the opponent because of that winding up. Like, he gets fouled and then he just bursts out laughing away from the ref's face. He's poking people and pushing them and stuff just to rile them up. It's little mentality tricks like that which gets people rattled, where they'll be thinking about him a little bit more. Allow someone like Stansfield maybe a little bit more space. For him to come off the bench for us, absolutely. Do I take Lyle Taylor back? Yes, I do. And tell me anybody that I wouldn't look at when a penalty is coming up, I wouldn't want them standing in front of it.
Just quickly on what Peter's just said. I thought Everton were after JJ last season. We should absolutely keep him. On that basis, I would say right now, if you put us against Everton, we're beating them. Hands down easy. They are awful at the moment. And someone like JJ could potentially be a good player for them. But I think at the moment he stays with us because Everton are just awful. And I think at the moment, like I said, we're better. But going off Billy, then going back to who we've got at the moment. Is Hogan your starting striker tomorrow, or would you switch things around and play Jay Stansfield up there instead?
Hogan's got 2 in 2, and he's a confidence player. So for me, I can't see why we wouldn't play both of them, because I think that gives us a different dynamic with... we got to stop thinking it's either one or the other. Because we don't have to play a little and large. We can play 2 fast pacey strikers. It's whether they can play together. We know we had at one point at England 2 of the greatest midfielders in Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard, but they didn't play together. Could we get Stansfield and Hogan together and then play together? They're both very, very similar. But would I drop Hogan for Stansfield? No, I wouldn't. Not with the confidence that he'll have after scoring 2 goals in 2 games.
But at the same time, obviously he scored 2 goals in 2 games. I think the goal against Cardiff, I'd say, was probably a lot trickier than Plymouth's goal. Plymouth was an absolute wicked pass by Miyoshi, but I think personally, Stansfield the other day against Cardiff, a lot of people said, "Oh, he overdid it. He did too much." I don't think he did. I think he was only doing what Hogan was doing, but he was doing it a lot more. And I think a lot of fans sit there going, "Hogan need to be putting pressure on. Hogan need to be pressing the ball, blah blah," and always on Hogan's back. Stansfield did that against Cardiff. Because he didn't score, Blues fans are like, "Oh, he's overdone it. He's done too much." And I think you're not expecting your striker to score every game. Yes, okay, we should just be absolutely awful against Cardiff. But Stansfield showed that he's willing to do what Hogan does, but a little bit more. I personally I'd drop Hogan, because Hogan last season, we dropped him. If you remember me talking to you about this, we dropped him for about 2 or 3 games. Then 2 or 3 games, he came on off the bench and he was scoring goals. And we were going, "Why is he not starting?" I think him being dropped and having that pressure on him, we're going, "You need to stop scoring, otherwise you ain't playing." Makes him play and makes him score, and he sorts it out.
Yeah, but I think we need that when he's not scoring goals. 2 and 2. He was a bit rough for a bit. He scored at Cheltenham. Then he's got 2 and 2 now. I feel like he didn't score at Cheltenham. He scored in pre-season, a 1-on-1, which was. I remember Twitter going mad that Hogan had scored a 1-on-1.
Peterborough.
Yeah, that's it. And then he scored 2 and 2. He scores goals when he's confident, and at the moment he's got faster players around him playing in the balls that he loves. Those quick reactive strikes. I don't think we take him off, and I think a double press from Hogan and Stansfield would rattle a lot of defences. Stansfield was the other day was pushing and pushing and pushing after Hogan had done it and putting them under pressure. But I think we can play them both together and give it a go.
But do you necessarily play? I'm just trying to get Hogan stacked up for the last couple of years that we've had him. But do you play? Obviously, depending on fitness, we could be looking at Miyoshi on the left, Anderson on the right, kind of style. Do you play it like that with Hogan as your number 9 and Stansfield as your number 10, playing in that cam role? Or do you look at maybe not having them both on the pitch at the same time and having Hogan run the defence around for a bit? Because Millwall, obviously, we know Millwall are going to come and they're going to give it their all. Their fans are going to be right behind them. They always are. And they're very away from home. They can be very on it. But I feel like if you're looking at how we could line up, do we line up attacking that we're going to put all the pressure on the front, or do we play that little bit defensive and prepare for the Millwall to come at us and look for a counter-attack?
After sitting back the other day, I don't think that's the way we need to go. We've been really impressive on the front foot. They're exactly what Rich has just said. They're a horrible team to play against. Suppress them high. I reckon the moment you lock them into their half, we're quids in there. We can battle and fight all day, but we've got better ball players in and around. So I reckon double press from Hogan and Stansfield, win the ball high. Then we've got the position where we can pass around, get through any little gaps, and get shots in. I personally think that would be the way I do. Press high, keep them locked in, and don't let them play their way out or force their way in. And then get to the point of really annoying them, getting them shaking when we're constantly chasing them down and winning the ball in their half. They're just going to either be playing long, in which case we've got Dion or Kevin who just clean up, pass it out, and then we can go again. I think that's what we did.
the thing with Hogan, looking at his stats here, so since he joined us in the 1920 season, I believe that was the season he comes to us on loan. 17 games, 7 goals. Next season, he played 33 games and scored 7 goals. 36 games, 10 goals. And last season, played 37, scoring 10. Now, if you actually look at that, before the World Cup break, at about 24, 25 games in, Hogan was on 9 goals. And we're all sort of going, 10, 15 goals easy this season. He then missed, I think it was like 4 games for injury and didn't quite come back the same player. So what do we need to do to get Hogan back into the form that he was in the start of last season? Especially against Millwall. What can we do against Millwall that's going to bring that kind of Hogan out?
It's not necessarily what we need to do to bring it out. When he's playing and he's scoring, he continues to score. He's just pure confidence player. And as soon as he starts missing a few, you see it in a game. Let's say he's missed a few chances in the game. You see his head go down a little bit and he's like, I'm not going to score today. If we can keep him as to I'm going to score, I'm going to score, I'm going to score, like he was before the World Cup. He was shooting from outside the box. He was taking balls down and shooting on reaction shots like straight away, rather than having I need to take a touch, get it round, then shoot it. He was just playing his natural game because he wasn't overthinking it. And I think when he's in confidence, he is just more of a natural player. And I think that's why he wins the waivers, because his confidence, as soon as he doesn't score for a few games, he'll drop again and then he'll score. He's now scored 2 in a game, 2 and 2. And let's keep him going. Let's keep supporting him. Dropping him would be the worst thing for him, I think.
As Billy just said, give him a game against the Baggies. That'll get the goals going.
Yeah. That's lovely. Let's play Baggies again.
So I'm not sure how much you're going to know about it, but obviously a couple of seasons ago, we were roomed against Kevin Nesbitt from Scotland. We brought Sam Cosgrove instead. He's now joined Millwall, so obviously going to be playing against us tomorrow. So obviously Richard's put in, let's hope Nesbitt doesn't score tomorrow. He's got pace and knows where the back of the net is. How do we line up against the Millwall team that have now got a guy up front that potentially, we don't know whether he's potentially going to bang him in or be another Cosgrove? How do you line up with someone like that?
Just put Dion near him. Get Dion to put him in his pocket and he ain't going nowhere. I mean, if the Cosgrove thing coming from Scotland is a thing in our team, it's definitely going to be a thing going into there. Scottish leagues are not the Championship, and a lot of people fail to adjust. Do I think we need to worry about him? Not really. Now, touch wood, that doesn't come back to haunt me, but I think we our defence at the moment is probably one of our strongest areas, that central defence, and having a striker like that, he's got to get past Dion and Kevin.
Kevin's here.
Kevin's here. We can really defend well with those two in strength. So he's going to have to do something special, I think.
So just have a look at what 4SJ's put. He's put, we play a high press first half, nick a goal before the break. Second half, invite a bit of pressure and hit them on the counter. I think Keshi and Hogan score tomorrow. Keep right on. First of all, keep right on. Back to yourself. Secondly, looking at it, I think we could press up. We do have a very good counter-attacking team from defence to attack. Do you think that's the way we play against Millwall?
No, I'm on the front foot against Millwall. Lock them into their own half. I agree with 4SJ. Play high press in the first half. Really annoy them. They'll try and switch up a little bit for at half time, but we could then switch up as well. I think we've got many different gears and different ways we could play. I think it'd be quite a strong performance from us if we press high, allowing our defence, who is quite solid at the back, it allows them to sit slightly higher up the field and lock in up higher up the field. We've got a lot of pace in defence now, so balls over the top shouldn't be that much of a worry. So I feel we push out, and then try and just stay on them from the moment their goalkeeper's got it. Stay on them, nick a goal, nick 2 goals, nick 3 goals. Let's have half the team put the ball in the Millwall net again. So let's go.
Harvey's put, Hogan has always been a confidence player. He looked sharp when he came on the other day, with spring in his step. Has a few goals behind him, will score tomorrow. It's basically what you've been saying. I totally agree. When he come on against Cardiff the other day, he looked like he'd basically been put in his place, and that he come on to prove a point that I'm not playing every game and I need to be playing every game. And I think he is very much one of those. But once he starts getting goals and starts losing goals and not scoring, how long does it take again before he goes back? But I think if everyone gets up behind him, there's too much of this. He'll run and he's offside, and then the fans are always straight on his back. I think there's the new era we're going into. Fans are going to be playing a massive part this season, especially tomorrow against Millwall. Fans are going to be huge. How much do you reckon the fans' impact of the constant moaning and complaining about, how much do you reckon that has on him?
Quite a bit as a confidence player. But then, like I said earlier, we've got now players that now they know. They're obviously all still gelling, and this is going to take a while for them to all load it. You don't buy 12 new players and then start gelling straight away. And like Luke's just said, the competition for Hogan now as well, he's a very competitive guy and he only likes perfection. So when he's scoring, he's in a confident mood. So he's going to carry on doing what he needs to do and moving forward. Where as soon as he stops scoring and the fans are on his back and blah, 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 I think that's what gets to him. If we've got players that can play those balls, see his runs, yes, he gets offside a lot of time, but that's because we've had players previously who haven't been able to see that pass or play that pass on time, where now I feel like we've got a few better and more skillful players. We saw the other day, didn't we, with people like Sanderson picking the ball up, and the first thing he's doing is looking over on those wings to see who's there. And that's where we struggled against Cardiff the other day, was Sanderson 3 or 4 times had the ball, looked up for that touch line, and there was nobody there. Where if that ball is an out ball, then you've got someone incredibly fast that can play a pass like Miyoshi or Laird or Dembele, someone like that can play that ball into Hogan for him to do the little tap-ins and headers that he's so good at. So if we can play to his strengths, I think he's great. But it's keeping those strengths playing for him.
It's like Harry said as well. He was nursing that slight injury last season. Now he's completely fit. Expect him to score more goals again. I think, that injury last season, I think there was more to it than what they were letting us know. I think because he definitely didn't seem as 100% himself all season. After that injury, coming back from the World Cup, he just seemed like something was niggling him a lot. But looking at trying to work out our style of play, do we look at the players we brought in, like Dembele, your Andersons, Miyoshis, Laird, Buchanan? They play quite wide. Is that going to be key for us this season? Let us know. Obviously, let us know again what you think. Is it going to be key for us this season, playing wide football and allowing our players out wide to just get the ball and run with it? Or is it going to be more of our playing style, once it's all gelled together, is going to be quite a narrow game where we can play the little ticky-tacky places we know we can play? We've seen it a couple of times the past couple of years where we play them little passes in between each other and we look a complete different team. Or is it purely going to be get the ball out wide to Laird or Buchanan, pushing forward, little balls into Sunjic and Bielik, and then pushing them out wide to Dembele and Anson? So would you reckon the play style is going to be wide? I reckon we're going to be playing a wide team, and I think that's going to upset a lot of teams this season because they're not going to expect it.
Yeah, I think we've played long ball for so long. Narrow or wide ball is going to be different for us as fans. And I think we're going to play on the touchlines. You can see it already. They stay out there. on the wides, and then it just allows so much more options. It also allows the pace that we got in the middle and up front to spread their defence a little bit wider, so they've got bigger gaps for them to run into. I think absolutely we've got to play on the touchlines with the players that we've got, and we've got to press, stay wide when we're defending. And the most frustrating thing I think we do is when we have corners against us and stuff, is we don't leave anybody up front. Someone like Hogan isn't going to do a lot in the back box, but if you could leave him or Stansfield, Miyoshi, tiny bloke, is never going to win a header in a box, right? Stick Miyoshi on the halfway line for if we need that fast out ball, we've got someone like that, which then the wide players can then run up on, and he can score with us. Like, I just think we need to change the way we've done it. We had Roberts on, the most frustrating player to watch. As soon as he got the ball, I said, this is going back, and it did. And then the next one went back, and then even their attacker was like, oh, this one's going back, and he nearly passed it straight to him. It was like, what on earth is going on? And it really makes you see what we've got now. Players are getting the ball, looking up, seeing where the players are, rather than just, I've got the ball, I need to pass it, so I'm going to go backwards because I know my goalkeeper's there. I think that's the big difference with us this year.
So Peter's just put, missed the Polish chap Plaqueta, Premshaw Plaqueta, obviously injured with us. Would it be someone that you'd in January maybe bring back in?
Does he go in front of Dembele or Miyoshi or Anderson? No.
Oh, depends. If anyone's injured, then he could be coming in from there. But I think he was a good player, but I don't think he quite fits this team.
No, I think that was suitable for us at the time. But I think no is the answer from me. He's fast, yeah, but...
Reese has asked who we signed so far. I'll have a read through of who we've signed. And
you've been under a rock, Reese.
I'll read who we've brought in throughout the transfer window. You let us know who you think's probably who's your favourite signing we brought in, who you think is going to be the best signing and most influential to the team, and we'll go from there. So obviously started off the transfer window bringing in Tyler Roberts from Leeds. So he came in, but he injured after the first game. It's kind of one of those. We brought in the Japanese sensation Miyoshi. He's coming on a year contract at the moment.
Oh, Koji Miyo.
He looks unreal. We give Kevin Long a 1-year contract extension, so hopefully I'll keep him going. We've brought Bielik on a permanent, Ethan Laird at right back, Sariki Dembele on left wing, Dion Sanderson, who's come in, Al Capitano, Keshi Anderson, Lee Buchanan, Jay Stansfield on loan from Fulham. We've brought in Awu last night, which is on a loan to buy, and we brought in Drama from Leeds, who I believe is also a loan to buy. Well, funny thing about him is I don't think it's a loan to buy, because I read earlier that he's on loan, but his contract with Leeds runs out at the end of the season.
Yeah, so it could be a free in the summer if he performs.
So it could be someone else coming in for free. So there's a rundown of all your players. Let us know who you think is going to be the most influential to the team. Who's your favourite signing coming in? And we'll get some of your comments in later.
Onao Hernandez, I loved him.
I loved him until he scored past us and celebrated.
We travelled all that way to Norwich.
He did it at Blues. He scored the winner for Norwich against us at home, and then scored past and then celebrated in front of the Norwich fans. And I loved him until, don't get me wrong, people are going to go off in the comments on, but it's his home club. Yes, I would do the exact same thing. But being a salty fan, it annoyed me, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, Onao Hernandez, Rida Kadra was quality again. Yeah. Obviously, he's gone over to the French league. Someone like them kind of players coming in, the fast, quick. Kadra was just unreal.
Yeah, I think we were never going to get Kadra back. I mean, what a player he was for us last season, and I think we've got someone like Dembele that will do similar if we can get him in to stay fit this season. Rich is saying Anderson's an astute signing. I agree. He's a very underrated worker that we've got. I think he's going to be quite important for us. I think the one that's going to go most under the radar for us is definitely going to be Buchanan.
Yes.
Rob has just tweeted a GIF. Let's go.
Rob is tweeted a GIF of Susan Boyle dancing, saying rims. So obviously anything comes from that, we'll let you know. Obviously, as I said earlier, we are aware at the moment. Potentially the last hour and a half, there has been a past medical at Birmingham. So we're just waiting on further news from that. Wayne has put, great transfer window, I'd have a late punt for Asante. Brandon Thomas Asante, I've seen a few people on about him today. He snubbed us for Baggies once. Sorry, but it's a no for me.
Also, I work with a Baggies fan. I was talking to her about him before the game where we played him. And he said he's pacey, but he's got nothing at the end. Like, he's fast, but...
I don't agree with that because I know the guy can score, and he's scored a couple for Baggies. I'll find out how many he scored exactly, but I think it's more the fact that you had the chance to come to us last season, and you've gone to Baggies, and we're not going to give you your safety float out of there now because it's going to dog poo with Baggies. Unfortunately, that would be my opinion on it. I don't think I'd be happy with that side. The players that we've looked at and the caliber of the players we looked at, such as Zakiri, I think going for Asante is your panic buy of buying a Cosgrove for $2.5
million. Buchanan is a class act, proper left back. Yeah, I thought, really thought we'd struggle to replace Maxime Collin. He was Mr. Consistent. Yes, occasionally he had bad games where he just did stupid stuff, but I was really concerned that we wouldn't be able to replace him. Buchanan has come in, literally not put a single foot wrong. He's going to go underrated, and I think he's going to go under the radar. I think he is going to be probably one of our most important signings for this window. Yes, love the fact that we've got Dion. I love the fact that we've got Bielik. I know we need a striker, but someone like Buchanan, where he's actually taking control of one of the weak sides of the pitch, is huge for us.
Agree with Rich. He's calm and composed. And I think the moment where I realised I was going to love the kind of player Buchanan is was the moment we played Leeds and he absolutely clattered through Luke Ayling and just sent him flying and just stood there like, what? Kind of thing. Like, that, to do that on your home debut and just to stand there and be like, you ain't going to do anything. I think that was the point where I was like, wow, we've got a player on our hands here. You read, obviously, all the stories online of Derby fans being salty because they got relegated. And they're saying, oh, he's lazy, he doesn't do this. I think he has possibly been so far, and also really 5 games into the season, but he has probably been the player of the season so far. And if he carries on the way he's going, I can't see it slowing down or getting any worse. Looking at Asante Thomas's stats, he played 36 games in total for West Brom this season and last. Scored 9 goals. So,
Hogan-esque.
Yeah, it's no different to Hogan. Luke's put, didn't Zakiri turn down Reams? Unfortunately, I couldn't tell you who he's turned down or who he's not. I know Trabzonspor were after him in the Turkish league. There was potential us or them that he could go to, but as for other teams, I don't really know. I think Rems is where Kadra's gone, isn't it?
Don't know. Alan Rhymes has just said, if Led can stay fit, he'll be awesome. But Sanderson, Bielik and Buchanan are all solid. How crazy is it that we thought that the 4 players you all said there are all defence-based when we've struggled to score goals recently in the last few seasons? We're all now going, look at these 4 defence, but Bielik's a midfielder, but he's a CDM. But that just those 4 alone is exciting. You see those 4 names on the team sheet, you're like, it doesn't really matter what's in front.
Let me ask you this question. You look at Laird, Sanson, Bielik, Buchanan. We've brought them 4 in for probably a combined 3 million. Before this season, if you saw them 4 names associated with Birmingham City, all loans?
Yeah.
Birmingham, don't do this to me. Don't tweet and make me think you're announcing players and you're announcing what food is going to be at the ground tomorrow. Do not do this to me.
It's the new chef.
The new cook's in. But, you go back to the last couple of years, them 4 players, you look at Laird before these new owners come in, and Buchanan, they're not even Birmingham City players right now. Sanderson, maybe another loan again. Bielik, obviously, we know how much he said it in his interview, how much he loves the Birmingham City fans coming here twice, so I think it's good. But Alex asking, do you think Drama and Ayew will start tomorrow? Drama maybe because of that right back situation. But personally, if he's fit and he's got the energy to, I'd be playing Bacuna there maybe and just giving them a couple extra days to gel in the team, or maybe bring them on for 20, 25 minutes so we can get a feel of what he's like. But I wouldn't be starting him tomorrow. I'd give him more time training. Obviously, after tomorrow, we have the international break. So
what a time for that to come as well.
We now don't play after tomorrow till the 16th of September. So 2 weeks for all these players to gel. We could have timed it any better, could you?
I've just seen that for SJ. There's someone, Transfer News on Twitter has said Plymouth have made a loan bid for Cosgrove, but apparently he's already at Barnsley having a medical. So we don't know how true that is, but we were saying Plymouth maybe after a striker. That's interesting. But someone like Cosgrove would fit in a team like that. Be interesting to find out if he is actually at Barnsley. They say it may be too late for him, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm honest. Will him being in the Championship work? Would I get rid of him? I'm not too sure at the moment, unless I know someone else is coming in.
Logan, to answer your question as well, Djukovic is 34. So he's getting on a bit. He's probably getting to the last year or 2 of his career, but he's still doing bits, isn't he? I think it's very unfortunate the red card the other day. My personal opinion was, from looking at the replays, obviously we've all seen. I don't think it's a red card, but like I said to yourself, I think there's got to be something else the club have looked at to sit there and be like, that we're not going to appeal the 3-match ban. Obviously now he's unfortunately missing till the QPR game at home, but yeah, I think.
I mean, if Barnsley have agreed to sign Mark Roberts, thank you for your service.
Was that Barnsley to Mark Roberts?
Yeah.
Going back to where he come from?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for your service. Goodbye. Coming on the other day, you just see how far apart he is from the others. And I think he made more hindrances. He's just there to kick the ball long. And it's the most frustrating thing to see. We've got players now playing football. We can pass. The goalkeeper can pass. The defenders can pass. The midfielders can pass. The strikers and attackers can pass. Why on earth are you kicking balls long when we've got tiny people up front? It's the most frustrating thing, Mark Roberts. So if he is off to Barnsley, I wish him all the luck. But I couldn't say I'd be sad to see him go.
Edgy's put, you can't let Cosgrove go when Duke on a 3-game ban, and then you have Hogan and Stansfield. Surely there's someone on the horizon. I personally don't think we get rid of Cosgrove unless we've got someone coming in.
Absolutely.
And I think it's going to be a typical Blues where we'll announce Cosgrove's left 10 o'clock at night. just to keep all of us on the edge of going, oh, what's going to happen? And then 11:15 at night, we'll get an announcement to say someone signed, but really probably signed like probably about an hour ago. Mark Roberts, I'll drive him to Barnsley myself. Sorry, I know it's the odd cliche. He's great at heading the ball, but terrible with the ball at his feet.
I'll take the fiver rich towards the petrol.
The only thing the guy's good at is throwing the ball. It made me laugh against Cardiff, though, how much the fans hate this long ball throw. We got a throw in by the flag in like the 90th minute or something like that, or it was 2-1 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I looked over at Eustace, and Eustace is going, go and take the throw in, like literally telling him to throw it in the box. And Mark Roberts looked at him, looked at the crowd, and gone, nah, I ain't doing it. And the throw was taken. So it very much he's understood now. We don't like the long throw.
It was funny that Tom Brady Eustace said about Tom Brady training him in his first session.
Practicing throw-ins, yeah. Obviously, as you see, 4SJ's put in there. Funny thing is about bringing up the long throw, we've only scored 1 goal from it. And unfortunately, the guy that scored it's now out for 3 games. But let's have a look at what Alex has put. Alex personally went back at right back, looked very exposed against Plymouth down the right-hand side, but even more exposed against Millwall. Potentially, but I think you look at the whole game last season, he had a really good game at right wing back. Then he went to right back against Bristol City after Laird got injured. I think that was kind of a forced one, but again, he looked a bit more like a right wing back than a back. I'd play him at right wing back, where he's got the chance to attack and he's got that cover behind him. But
which is interesting with Iwu coming in. Could we go to 5 at the back? I mean, I personally play pressing football against Millwall, but if you put Iwu, Long, Sanderson in the middle, and then
Buchanan
and Bakker, that's quite impressive. He didn't do bad in defence. He did look a little bit exposed, but he doesn't play there. And I think he actually did really well. And to get in the team of the week, playing in a completely different position, even though he got exposed, he's doing something right. So I think that's a potential with the injuries that we've got that option to go 5 at the back. But I'd personally I'd go not all out attack against Millwall because they're a very physical side, but I'd definitely be on the front foot for sure.
So a question I want to ask you guys, and I want to get your answers in the comments, is obviously we lost 14 players over the summer. Is there any players that we've sold over the summer that maybe you think we probably shouldn't have got rid of? Let us know what you think in the comments. I'll come back to your opinion in a minute on that. But Mike's put, do you think the young lad Donovan will be given a first team chances this season? Personally, I think the guy's only like 15, 16. I think he's there more for just to give him the experience of being within the first team. But I'm not going to be saying no if he can come on the pitch for 10, 15 minutes every now and then and show us what he's got. And if he's got the ability to... Unfortunately, I don't know much about Donovan, the opposition he plays. I think he's a camel, something like that. If he's coming on and getting that ball in the middle of the park and attacking with it, very much like what George Hall did when he first come on the pitch, I'm not going to say no to giving him a chance, to be fair. Yourself?
This is why the Cup is so good to stay in, even though we haven't got really the squad to really have a good shot. You have a lot of the youth where you can see them really integrated into like part teams, if that makes sense. Where I think that would be somewhere I'd play him in the Cup games. Is he going to make it into the Championship? I don't know. He's good to have around, but with the players we've got in and around him, I don't think he quite makes it just yet. A good loan for him would be nice.
I read something the other day. There was like an interview with Sanderson when the team were out in Spain. There was a local reporter there, and they were talking about Donovan being in and around the team. And he was like, what he brings to the team is he brings a lot of flair, but he brings a lot of character as well. Apparently he's a quirky young lad that loves to have a bit of a laugh with the players, and he kind of brings that character to the dressing room that links everyone together. And he says, Sanders was saying he's a very funny lad, and I feel like he's one of those characters. He's good to have in the dressing room, but I've not really seen him on the pitch, so I can't really judge to what his opinion is. After this, I'll obviously go and look at what he's like. Maybe in the next video we do for you, I can let you know what I think. A few people also answering the question saying that gutted we've lost Chong. I watched him play against Chelsea the other day, and if I'm going to say anything, thank God we got rid of him because he looked lost. He looked so confused. I liked him, but as Luke Amphlett has said right here, Dembele's better than Chong already. Totally
I think Chong
agree.
looks more impressive because of his hair. That he stands out more when he does something good. But he also does a lot of things where he just runs into nothing.
Yeah.
And we've had players like him before. Yes, he had moments of brilliance, but I think there was lots more of missed opportunities with him. Like the amount of times that he's running and he's got his head down and there's through balls to like Hogan on and stuff, but because his head's down and he's just watching where he's going, we lost a lot. Where Dembele is literally, he barely looks at the ball. His head's up. He's like, right, where am I going? Who's where? And I think that is the difference. Is Dembele is looking for other people where Chong always wanted to be the main star of the things. So I agree. I mean, Chong in this team would be amazing, but I'm also kind of glad that he's gone in that sense, especially with the fact that financial fair play and stuff like that comes into place with his wages. For me, I agree. Colin with Stephen.
I was just looking at this one from Phil as well. Obviously, sad to see the loans go like Trusty and Kadra. The other one was Colin, as he guaranteed 40 games. Like you said, Colin maybe one more season, others not really. Colin was solid.
Yeah.
The only person that I want to bring up, I feel like maybe it's going to be a very opinionated opinion, well, very choicy opinion. I personally would have given Harley Dean another year. Not as a starting defender, but I'd rather Harley Dean on the bench than Mark Roberts.
I think, we were talking about attitude earlier.
Yeah.
I think that's why he's gone. Technically, as a leader, great. I just think he was a bad apple that needed to get gone, and he was one of the consistents where managers were then overturned by the team, I think. And
but last season he come into them few games just before the World Cup, or start the season, whatever it was. He come into the team, and didn't we go like 6-7 games where we conceded like 3 goals? That was it. And you look at that and you go in. He came into the team and did that. He then got injured and obviously come out of the team, and we conceded 3 goals in that next game. I think, like I said, he's a good player. I'd rather have had him on the bench. Even though he's got an attitude issue, maybe get us sorted, but I'd have had him on the bench over Mark Roberts any day of the week, because I feel like when he come on, he understood what it meant. You had to be calm and composed, but I think Roberts comes on and he's a bit of a headless chicken at times. And his first thought is either I go long or I go back. I don't know what else to do. But Dean was composed to the bit where he was able to compose the defence, calm them down, and be like, okay, put the ball out there, put the ball out here. So,
the ultimate objective comment there from Kristen Dom, defender, be ready. Absolutely agree with this, and I think that's what Craig said in his first interview. Let's build a young team, and you can progress with a young team. You can sell on anybody who's needing the next step, and you can make a profit on them. Well, you can always buy more in. You are getting young, hungry players that want to play for the shirt, want to perform, want to impress. And not only that, you've got players who can go into the next season. When we were signing players like, I'm going to say Kevin Long and stuff like, where they're at the end of their careers and Deeney and stuff like that, they're coming for a season. And if they don't do anything in the season, they're not bothered. They could retire. They could go give up.
Yep.
Whatever. Now we're getting young, hungry players that want to be looking at Man United's and Liverpool's, Real Madrid, for example, and where they're looking at really progressing, they're now seeing this as a platform after Jude's left, as to come in, get constant games, put your shirt on, play your football, and then you've got that. And if in the meantime that helps us progress and really push forward, fine. A team of too many young people, I think, is also an issue. So you need those experienced heads in there, like Bielik, and like I'm going to say Gary Gardner. He comes on and he settles people down because he's just an old head, where he can settle some of the youngs down. But I think Guards is past it now with his injuries. I think he's done well for us, but I think he's past it. But I think a good mix, a good percentage of our team should be young, and that's what we've done in the transfer market, is go after lots of young talents where we can be the one to progress. And that's the best thing about us buying them all. They're not just young talents that are then going to come back like Hannibal, have a great season with us, and then just get lost in the Man United team again this season.
Actually, look, talk about Hannibal. I read something about him earlier, that Blues, we basically tried to get him on loan again.
Yeah.
And Man United basically refused to let him go on loan to a championship club. So there was someone on contact with basically Medbury to see if he wanted to come back. And he said that he doesn't want to play championship football, but if he was going to go to a championship club, it'd be the Blues. But basically, Man United refused to let him come back to the championship. They're like, either goes to France or he goes into the Premier League. So I feel like he's very much, like you said, he's pushed out of Man United, and unfortunately, could have been another player we could have brought in on maybe a permanent or another loan. But
Dunboy Blues 73 is saying exactly the same as what I said about Harley Dean. He's the chairman of his own fan club. If things aren't going his whole way, then the whole team suffered. Bad apple in it. Put one rotten apple in a good cart, and it instantly goes bad. And I think Harley Dean, as good as he was at times, he was that bad apple, and you could see it in his attitude when he was like with Karanka, and I just think he was the driving force between so many managers underperforming, and I think the team morale was very much drained by him. So I'm glad we've got him off the books for that sort of side of things. And if you see the way the players are in training now, you've got people like Ethan Laird that I can't tell you how many times I've watched that video where he's like, Wah! I can't tell you how many times I've watched that video.
Sounds like R2D2.
Yeah, but you've got them. They're having a laugh. They're having a joke. They're all around about the same sort of age. And they're building a real community, a real family bond. They were all meant to go to UB40 the other day as a whole squad night out. But obviously we had the cup game, so only the management team went, and they were all out. But they're bonding outside of the football as well, which I think is important when you see some of these squads that are pushing for promotions and stuff. They're all in it together, and there isn't just. I couldn't pick to you one person now where I think, they could upset a multiple people. I think everybody's there pulling the strings together and working together. So I think that's important for us now.
Just want to change the perspective where we're going here. Christopher's put a comment in regarding, not many people have spoken about it recently, and I think it's something that needs to be spoken about. The work the women's team have put in over this summer window, they have brought in a lot of players as well. It's not just the men's. Hope Powell, obviously bringing them in. Darren Carter. I watched the Liverpool game, the last pre-season friendly, and what a game that was. They were so... Yeah, okay, people say they were lucky to come away with a point, but Liverpool are a good women's team. But the players they've brought in the players that the women's team maybe have needed for a while. Last season, they were unlucky not to get promotion. This season, I can't see a reason why they won't get it. But it's nice to see that owners aren't just focusing on one team. You look at the women's team, they've improved. You look at the academy and the under-21s, they've all improved. So it's nice to see the club actually getting the recognition it deserves all over the board, not just in one section.
Yeah, I'm happy for the women's team. I think they were very neglected under the old owners. I think there'll be a lot more coming from us at Blues Focus with relation to the women's game coming as well. I think Hope Powell brings in so much pull for top players, especially top English female players or any female players really, who want to be in and around that level of caliber. Director of women's football or guidance and support, where you can just ask the questions and get the answers that some of them need. Yes, the men's team are the number one team, but the women's team, what they have done since they've taken over as well, was so impressive. And I think hopefully we've got some more money to spend with the women and get them back to where they belong.
So, coming back to Stephen's comment, he put, anyways, remember Dean's reaction to the goal to then shrug at Ita Karanka when Lee Bowyer first took over. Makes me question, not necessarily got to be Blues, but your best celebrations you've ever seen. Let us know in the comments of players. Seeing his celebration and how smug he was with that always brings me back to, do you remember Jimmy Bullard's celebration against Man City in the middle of the pitch?
Where he told them all off after...
Phil Brown did it the year before. Yeah. It always makes me think of that. Like when I see it, I just think funny celebrations, their quality, and I've got to love a good celebration. Let us know in the comments your favourite celebrations of all times.
My favourite celebration of all times would be the absolute limbs after Caddis's goal to keep us up. Mental feeling at that point, going from such a low to such a high, the absolute limbs in that away end, and just that shirt off, spinning it around, not giving a shit. That just, every time I see that, get goosebumps. The other one is that Harley Dean goal against Fulham, where he's celebrating and he jumps up.
Also, to anyone out there that may be quite a younger age, apologies for Kieran's language.
Do apologise.
But yeah, so funny celebrations, they always come and we always get them. Like, I think you look at play like we just spoke about earlier, Lyle Taylor against West Brom that day, and he was just like laughing at the players. I think get good celebrations like that, it always winds up with people doing it. Tim has said, Tahith is playing okay against the Hammers at the moment, but you are right, head down, blind alley in the game at times, and for us last season. West Ham are currently 1-0 up. And right above that, Reece has put Luton are shocking, never mind Chong. But at the end of the day, as long as Deirdre next door's happy, we're fine. Why go to Luton? Because Premier League football, isn't it? And there's going to be so much hype around them because of all.
Yeah, but you know you're going up to come straight back down.
Yeah, but they'll try. David Davis against Villa, one of the best celebrations. I remember that. Absolute run like a headless chicken in front of Steve Bruce celebrating. Smacking the badge, one of the best.
Obviously, you got Obafemi Martins. That smack on the back of the head to the defender, Koscielny. Just that whole celebration, the flips, what moments, what absolute moments. And we've come so far since then.
Here's a good question for you then, courtesy of Billy. If you had 30 minutes with Wagner and Brady, what would you ask / recommend?
I'd ask for his wife's number.
I was thinking more just his signature, you know.
Oh yeah.
No, I think I would ask, as much as they're trying to work on the match day experience.
Sorry, I just read Stephen's comment, but yeah, carry on. Yes, I do remember Stephen.
Yeah, we all remember Stephen Dunn trying to do the Rabona and falling over. I also remember Robbie Savage getting smacked in the face by the referee's blues whistle.
And then Alan Shearer booked him.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Billy's question. I think if you got 30 minutes with Brady, you just asked for that little bit of extra match day experiences. Like you look at the food and drink are always the two that are the big key problems at St Andrews. You look at them, and I would be like, for God's sake, can you get in a new tannoid system so we can actually understand what the guy is saying? Because no one knows. They were talking about having a new PA and tannoy system. I don't know whether it's still in the works or see when the work's done, but that needs changing for sure. But apart from that, I can't ask them to change much more than what they already have.
30 minutes with Wagner and Brady, I'd be asking things like, where is the end of the road for you? And I don't want some simple answer like, as soon as we're back in the Prem. I'd be asking that. I'd be asking them also to, a few little things that, and I think Gary Cook's all over the match day experience at the moment. Little things, little changes in between the games. That tannoy system is as old as the family stand.
Like Tim said, their best signing so far, I might say Gary Cook, because he's just crazy with what he's doing for the club at the moment.
Just a blue nose that knows his stuff.
Proper passion about the club.
He stood in our seats, and experienced life from our side, and knowing that watching the Blues isn't always a great experience. So at least we can do is have a good bar and some good food, and at least make that worth coming for.
I'm going to say, though, the one thing they have done the last couple of years, these food bars they keep putting inside the ground around, they're really good. I've seen a lot of away fans that put it up, like the Away Days fan page put it up a lot about how class the food is at Birmingham City now and the prices for it. The problem is you have these really good stalls you bring in, people like jerk chicken and stuff like that. And then you go to the actual food bars and you get a pie that's like half cooked. But you can't have all of it. So 4SJ, at the end of the day, quality or money do not get you promoted. The players, the team, the coaches and manager have to bond together to create the chemistry for a club to even dream of success in this league. Couldn't agree. Couldn't say it any better myself, mate. You've got to have, from top to bottom, it's got to be a combined unit. And I think you look at teams like Burnley last season. I'm not sure if many of you have watched the Burnley documentary on Sky. Really, really good in-depth into what it is about. You really learn a lot about the club. And I think that shows you a club like that where they were talking about it, where they were going to lose Vincent Kompany and Belgium were looking at taking him for the job. And you could generally see how upset the owner was that Belgium potentially could persuade Kompany to leave. And some of the players, you've seen how it's affecting them. And I think that just shows you that from top to bottom, that everyone's got to be doing a job. Everyone's got to be caring and working together. So I couldn't agree any more with you there, mate. Going on to celebrations, Neil's put Liam Daish when he scored and played the trumpet. My 4SJ, my favourite celebration was when Bellingham scored against Stoke for his first goal. I was there and limbs were amazing.
Terrible knee slide, though.
Terrible knee slide, but that is a great goal to watch and celebration to see. Obviously, our boys now at the Bernabeu absolute smashed it in La Liga. So, also, I don't know if many of you have seen it, he became the first English player to ever win the La Liga Man of the Match the other day. So, he's doing his bits there. Steve's put Paul Tate t-shirt.
Iconic t-shirt. Can't say what it says on the blog, but it says SOTV on it.
Yeah. Alan Ryan's put, totally agree, catering is a shambles. Something obviously needs to be.
It isn't. This is the most frustrating thing. They've done so much right with the catering, but with the food stalls around the ground. But they're all outside the ground. So your match day food is done by 13-year-olds that have never even seen a canteen, let alone worked in one.
Do you realistically think the best idea for Birmingham City going forward would be where these kiosks are? Maybe you get two every now and then. One's normally beer and hot food and one's soft drinks and stuff. Would it be best to have one that's your drinks and then a separate one for your food? Maybe keep the queues down. And you turn these kiosks into doing these food stalls around the ground. So having
yes. Either that or getting a new catering team entirely, because the food that you were literally being served by like 15 and 16-year-olds, maybe 17-year-olds that are literally have no idea how to pour a pint. Nobody knows if you're taking. someone takes your order, someone else goes and gets your food from someone else, who then goes and gets it from around the back. It was like, what on earth is going on? Why are 5 people bringing me one item of food? Why don't 5 people serve 5 people and bring 5 items of food?
It was against Leeds, weren't it? We were in the Tilton, and we're in the Tilton, and there's literally one kiosk open. There was 2 blokes stood there serving drinks, and there's literally a girl, don't know if it was her first day or what, but she literally just stood there, and someone come around and was like, you need to be making them their drinks to serve. And she's like, okay. And then just carried on standing there. And I was like, we stood there for 5 minutes waiting for a burger because they were round the back cooking rather than them being in the counters. And it just didn't work out to me.
It's just a shamble. Like, inside the ground, they need to work on that food. And that the beer's terrible. And if we could bring in something like what's it called? The ground where they've made it better, like the pints that pour from the bottom, stuff like that, where you actually get nice fresh pints and stuff.
Well, they have at Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a difference to what you're actually getting. In terms of your experience, you go in there, you're watching the fireworks, you're watching the flames, you're watching all these little improvements. That tunnel looks amazing, and then you get the tunnel camera and stuff. Why are we not getting better food and drink?
Don't know. It's definitely something that needs to be spoken about, but like Richard's also mentioned, the new Alliance Lounge at the Blues is amazing. It's money well spent in the last week. So obviously they've done some work on some of the boxes and stuff as well. Chris with the comment of all time is, who are you? That is this season been loud for a long time. That is
sponsored by HA Wealth Planning. Who?
We went to Cardiff the other day, and even for a cup match, the who was so deep and loud, and it's nice to see the fans getting back to them.
Stephen Haynes, the one below that, is an interesting one.
I was about to say that, about the fans form to be reinstated on official site. Help the fans feel more part of the setup time to bring it back, guys. That would be definitely something that we are basically in talks to try and get into contact with maybe like a Gary Cook or someone like Craig Gardner or something. Maybe see if we can get them on a podcast where obviously these kind of questions are what we'll send them over and see if we can just get a bit more of information from you. Tim with a great question. If you rebuilt the stadium, which I think we will at some point, you redraw the match day experience, including the pies, from top to bottom. The stadium, Cop and Tilton are just functional stands. We've had this conversation multiple times between me and yourself. I think, obviously, there's the whole conversation going online about us going to the Birmingham Wheel site and a new stadium and all this. I think these companies that we've currently got outside the grounds where the food venues are, they're making so much money. I wouldn't be surprised if they work with Birmingham. And if we do get a new stadium, we get them built into the ground and they have like little stores inside the stadiums, because I think you can't have the current experience we're having with food. If you're going to build this new stadium for the Premier League, you can't have this current catering situation. And the lack of kiosks open and stuff like that, I just don't think it works. My favourite celebration was Martin's against Arsenal League Cup final. Can't beat that. I think there's a video actually of that League Cup final. The celebration I like the most is Ben Foster's when the full-time whistle goes, because he literally just turns to the Arsenal fans and just pumps his fists, and you see how much it actually means. Tim's put, the Gilmerick could be a better stand for matchday experience and have the room of concourse development. Obviously, I sit in the Tilton, so I wouldn't know. I've been in the Gilmerick a few times, but this was before the lower Tilton and Cop was shut, so it was a bit quiet over there, so I'm not really seeing.
The loudest thing we heard was Martin Taylor breaking his leg, screaming after that. That was
yeah, we were sat in the Gilmerick upper for that, and that's a frightening experience of itself. Don't like being up there too high. Great job, boys. Hope we can get a striker in. Keep right on. Keep right on to you, Keith. Hopefully we get someone in. we're obviously got 5 minutes left of this podcast. This live, and we'll finish, and then we are due on a live on Twitter Space later between 10:30 and 11. But to be fair, I'm happy to stay on here for a bit longer if you're wanting to, Key, and if we can. I'm not fussed. Get the catering open until 15 minutes before the end of the game. Can't get a drink past half time. I think this is definitely something that I agree with. Few times you go up at half time and they don't prepare for all the fans to come at half time, which is a bit of a silly thing because that's when they're all going to come. I think they should open it 75 minutes, 80 minutes. You should be closing it and allowing fans to maybe get a drink, because sometimes you wait till the end till you want one.
Rich Allen, his best celebration. Darren Carter when he scored a penalty to get us up to the Premier League. Now, when I went in the club shop the other day, they only had 3X out. And bearing in mind, I'm between a medium and a large. So I feel like I've got his shirt on with how baggy it is. I could do that celebration with how baggy the T-shirts used to be back in the day. Chuck it in my shorts and I'll be able to just run around for the Premiership. For the Premiership! Another iconic video.
We need to get a food and refreshments area like Leicester where you can go and just pick the food up, drink it, and it'll automatically charge you the money. It's Birmingham. It'd all be stolen. Can't they bring food around the fans and drink like they did with Bovril?
Just in
like they do in America.
Someone on Twitter that says Birmingham have had a bid accepted to sign Kyle Bartley, who'll return to St Andrews to replace the imminent departure of Mark Roberts from @Sky Sports Steve. I don't know how that is, but Kyle Bartley?
To be fair, I've just seen a tweet that says get Zigic back out. It's taken all day. But yeah. Sky Sports Steve, I'll just come across it now. Again, it's one of those where I'd have a look. Kyle Bartley's currently, I believe, at West Brom.
Yeah, he's at that.
Probably not a player for me that I'd be bringing in. Billy wants to ask, not Blues related, what do you think of Southgate not picking players because they're in the Championship and then picking Henderson from Saudi? I'm not going to even a comment on the situation of Henderson from Saudi. I don't want to make this page into that kind of situation. I'm not going to put any comments out there. As for Southgate not picking Connor Cody because he's playing for Leicester City, I've said it for the last 6 months now. I think Serena Wiegman should manage the men's team, and I think Gareth Southgate's got to go. This is the point. You can't not be picking players because they're playing the Championship. It's ridiculous.
I personally think you've got to go on form in the national side, regardless of where they are. If someone's banging in 30 goals in the Championship, you put them in the team because they know where the goal is. If you are picking someone just because their name is so-and-so and they've been in your squad, like Harry Maguire, how he still gets in an England side after his performances for Man United. Couldn't tell you he's got something over Southgate or something.
I think the same that a lot of people don't.
Yes, but he doesn't go in anybody's starting squad.
See, I agree with that situation with Pickford. For Everton, he is awful. I get, obviously, he got us for our first penalty shootout and he's a good keeper. I think Ramsdale's a lot better keeper.
And Pope.
And Pope is awesome, not awful.
He's
awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to read a comment, but Pope's awesome, and I think he should be England number one. I think looking at the Euros next year. JMF Aquatics said they should come round selling food like they do in America, hot dogs and stuff. We were in LA in April, and their service for their food and drink over there is mega. It's so quick, it's rapid, it's easy. You're in the crowd, and it's not necessarily, I'll go get food and drink. They come round. They'll stand at your end of your aisle. They're there for 5 seconds. If you're not getting to them in the 5 seconds, they're down the next road. They're gone. And you're waiting for them to come back up. They don't take waiting around. It's money, 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 and that's what it needs to be. I totally agree.
Yeah, there were 80,000 people in that stadium, and you were served and consistently as well. There's so many people just going around. and they've got cold beer fridges on their back where they're just walking around and you can serve straight from that. You got people
filled with
food.
filled with ice. So it's all cold and
it was just another world. If you went to a bar, like they had central like places where you could go for food as well. You go there, it's like, hi, what do you want? Yeah, there it is. Thank you, bye bye. Pay, bye bye. And it was so quick. And then you go to the Tilton, you can be the only one in the Tilton, and it's half an hour still for a cold burger and a bottle you can't even take to your seat.
I think
we've had 2 comments on here saying the club is still pushing for Sakiri, but media on Twitter saying he's not interested.
Yeah, I've literally just read a tweet that said from K Media. Let me just translate. French company. It says Andy Sakiri to Birmingham. It's a no. The club are trying their hardest, but the player does not want to continue his career at Birmingham. Wants higher playing football. So it might be one of those where we lose him, unfortunately, due to the fact that we are Championship. But someone's put best celebration was Howard Gale against the Vile. Jumps up on the fences. I'm not sure what celebration you're after. I'll have to have a look after. But if it's scoring past the Vile, we're all going to love it. Tom Garner saying apparently he's been told Ollie Burt be announced at 9:30. Good luck, Tom. We'll see how true your words are there.
I've got the Liam Perrins factory at the back of me if anybody's after proper sauce.
Friend of a friend who works. Nick Pope is the best England keeper. Totally agree with you, JMF.
Agreed.
Ruddy for England. Yeah, I think so. Ben Foster said he's on form right now. Don't see why he shouldn't be able to. I'm assuming this is meant to say stupid health and safety. In England won't allow us to have cold beers served whilst we sit watching a football match.
However, I have been to West Brom and I've drunk beer in their stands.
We went to Norwich and you were allowed to take your bottles into the ground. And Millwall, even Millwall let you take your bottles into the ground. All you have to do is take the cap off. But we used to do that, and now they put them in bloody plastic cups.
But I have drunk cold beers at West Brom just before the pandemic. When I went with my friends, we were sat in the home end, and I've had cold beers sat at my seat, and it wasn't like we were stopped or we tried to hide them in. We were just walking in, and I sat there thinking, this is mad. We wouldn't never be allowed that.
4SJs, but just subbed. Hope to see more of these live streams. They're going to get off now. Keep right on. 2 on tomorrow. Good night, Jay. Keep right on.
Yeah, keep right on, buddy.
Best for yourself, mate. Things will improve at St Andrews. I hope so. It already looks a lot better. Let's have a discussion about what they've actually done so far. What about the lights that they've put on the front of the stadium and the colour? I think they've got to do it all around. But so far, I know there's a lot of negative social media reaction to the American flag going up on the stadium. But I think they've put the English, they've put the Birmingham crest, they've put what they need to on the front. I don't blame them. But what do you reckon of the works they've done so far?
It's amazing. Going there and seeing it not run down. And when you stand there, like we did at the Cardiff game the other day in the night time, and you actually look at it, it looks like a proper football club. And how terrible our own has been that we're so excited about 2 so basic things like lights and a badge on the front of the club and hot water in the stands. How bad have we been run? They were 2 of the things that got people most excited, regardless of the 12 players we brought in. People are like, hot water, mind blown, right? How basic is that as a need? And they've come in, they've sorted it straight away. Those change rooms look amazing. That tunnel looks like phenomenal. When you just used to see it was just a white bricked wall with a bit of blue on it, and now it's like all blue. You've got home and away players walking down a massive blue tunnel with blue sayings everywhere and history. St Andrews is so much better already in the 50 days than it has been for such a long time. and I'd love to see what they're going to do with a little bit more time.
There's even the little things JMF have put in, even the little things such as plastic caps put over the screws on the chair so they don't rust. Just makes it look better. Billy put, for Go Up this year, we knight Eustace as Sir Eustace the Cook.
Done.
So Eustace bringing in his catering team. Keep right on TV. Where's that Millwall striker? I'm assuming you're on about Ollie Burt, mate. We're not sure yet. Apparently, according to someone in the chat, he's due at 9:30. Talking of Millwall, though, have just seen apparently they've signed Kiefer Moore from Bournemouth. So hopefully he can't play tomorrow because he's a lethal striker that maybe we should have potentially looked at. That was come from the second tier. They've put that up. The other thing as well is you look at just generally social media. Like I'm looking here and someone called Ethan's put up 10,000 YouTube likes in 39 seconds on the video of Drama after he's announced he does his first interview. 39 seconds up and it had 10,000 YouTube likes. The social media presence we're getting at the moment, don't know whether it's because we're getting Tom Brady in, but it's a big one to be sitting there going, well, that many people coming in and liking videos that quick. We've never had that. It normally took us probably about a week to get 10,000 likes, but now we're getting it in 39 seconds or something. I'll have a look, see what that video is on in a second. But the social media presence that the new owners are bringing to the club, you search hashtag BCFC and it's just mental.
It's also like we've got friends over in America that we saw, and even they had never heard of Birmingham as a place other than Alabama when we went over there in April. And I was literally speaking to one of them the other day, and they were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe Tom Brady's at your team," sort of thing. This is crazy. Like over there, it's still everywhere. They're hearing about it. They've not even heard of us before, and now they're talking about us. He's asked me to get him a shirt, send it out there. Like I said, I've struggled to get myself a shirt. To be honest, it's I wish it was that simple, but the expanse that the club is going through at the moment is it's a good place to be, I think. And if this continues as it is, our social media will be impressive. And if the rumors of a potential Amazon series is coming for us, look what that's doing to other clubs and the money that would bring in and exposure into our club again could potentially be huge for us. I keep right on TV.
Alex has put it here. Apparently, he won't be able to play tomorrow. I think we could have had to sign for 12:30 this morning, as that's when the game starts tomorrow. Somebody saw on Twitter. I've actually just read the exact same thing on Twitter. Apparently, for a player to be eligible to play, they've got to be signed 24 hours. Well, announced. Paperwork's got to be in 24 hours before the match on the weekend. So it would have had. That explains why we had Drama at 8 o'clock this morning. Will be so he's eligible to make the team for tomorrow's game. So if any of you sat there waiting to hear about that, they will be able to play. Obviously, if Ollie Burke is now announced, unfortunately, he won't be able to be in the team, I believe. But we'll go from there. I'm still waiting for Fabrizio Romano to let us know.
Are we staying on till 9:30 just to hang out, see if anything does come from Blues?
Just going to keep going and see if anything comes up. Any regrets trying to fill this much airtime? No.
Yeah, not getting a beer before I came on.
But
any regrets in terms of players that we've signed on deadline day before, Josh?
Any regrets? Players we've signed on deadline at Cosgrove? No. I think we've had regrets of players we've signed regrets of players we've signed in the past, but I wouldn't say necessarily just deadline day, to be fair. Alexander Kleb. I thought he was quality. He was good when he was at Arsenal, but he was just too old when he come to Blues.
It was like a shock signing, that was. When it came, it was like, hey, how is he coming to Blues?
For us?
Yeah. And then then he played for us, and it was it was terrible. But at the time, everybody was quite excited about that, and then quickly changed.
Andrew Roberts, to answer your question quickly, is that then no more in? We don't know. There's still 2 hours of the transfer window to go. Anyone can come in. We are doing a space on Twitter between 10:30 and 11:30 just to discuss the final half an hour of the transfer show. Keep right on TV. Is there going to be a vlog tomorrow? Yes, mate. Every match we have a vlog. Tommy and the lads that do all the match vlogs are really good lads, and they make it work. And then we may or may not have a guest on our podcast next week, which you have to keep your eye out for the little games that we're going to start playing with you guys. Just see, get you a bit more involved, see if you can guess who's going to be on the vlogs. But we do have a guest next week.
Is it Bernard's son?
Brandon's son?
No, I think he means Bernard's son.
Potentially.
Absolute quality player for us.
Talk about a quality player, Christophe Dugarry. Like when I first started supporting Blues, he was in the team. So I'm not so much a stat man on him as much as you'll call me full of knowledge of football. But you obviously were supporting Blues a lot, 5 years longer than me. So
I was so excited when this signing came in. I was so excited I nearly burst. And then watching him play live, the guy was just magic. Just such a natural talent, and his flair and stuff. But back then, but there was very few flair players like there are now. Everybody's trying to be a flair player. And it just really stood out. A lot of people used to just smack the ball or, try and do rainbow flicks and fall over on the edge of the box like David Dunn used to. But he was just a natural flair player that was got to go down as one of my favourite players of all time in a Birmingham shirt, because he was just another level for us. He brought something that we didn't have at the time, and that how we signed him, it was great. Good times when he was with us.
Diggers was just quality. Best thing is Steve Bruce ever did.
Yeah, Rate Digger, and he was obviously at Cheltenham when we were there. Great athlete. He obviously supported us so much. He scored that own goal for us in pre-season as well, which was very nice of him.
Who were you on about?
Digger. Oh, that was Davis, wasn't it? Yeah. David Davis.
No, that wasn't Matt Davis. That was a different Davis. That Davis went to Shrewsbury.
Moving on.
Yeah. So obviously, I alluded to it on a Millwall podcast for them the other day. I also did a bit of a video for them. Phil's put, I remember when we signed Alberto Tarantini in 1978, I couldn't believe we had a foreign player back then other than Scots. Unfortunately, mate, 20 years before me, I wouldn't have a clue.
That's even before me.
But we were sat talking. I did a podcast for the Millwall podcast group, and they asked me my earliest memory of why I was a Birmingham City fan. And I was talking to them about the Portsmouth game at home. We were late to the game, and I said that Pennant scored in the first minute and a half, 2 minutes of the game, and we literally walked in a minute later and unfortunately missed that goal. And then I happened to go to the toilet and miss a second game. So let us know in the comments your earliest memories or what got you into being a Birmingham City fan, so we can go through them. And Logan with an absolute great answer. Loved Seb Larson. Oh, guy was great. Loved him. So going back in time, Frank Worthington, yes, I am that old. So okay, Keith, we appreciate it. But yeah, your big memory of earliest memory of being a football fan, the Blues.
Oh, my first game was against Fulham. That's all I really remember. We won 1-0. I don't remember much about it. My memory's not great. My favourite memories are just stupid things that we've done at games, like let's all do the Wenger. I love things like that where you just remember them because they were different games. What was that face?
Not this comment. This comment. Swansea have signed Christian Pedersen.
Oh.
For an undisclosed fee, subject to international clearance. But I know obviously they were talking about it. I didn't think he was coming back. But sorry, carry on what you were saying anyway.
Yeah, I love little things. I'd rather be a sausage than an egg.
This is a great chant.
I mean, it should be part of the walkout theme. And I like little stupid things. We've had some iconic games. That Bolton away game we went to, that crowd was mad.
And the Sheffield Wednesday. We went Sheffield Wednesday away, drew 1-1 at Hillsborough. Or we won 1-0. Dukey scored. That was crazy as well.
I used to love Kids for a Quid when I was a kid. Because you were able to just go and it was only £1, and we used to go with a family friend of ours, and it was just amazing. You could go and experience it for £1, and you get a lot more youth in, and I think that's what we need to bring back more of. Maybe is getting the next generation now, because I feel like there's a big gap between us and the next generation of incoming Blues fans, that I feel like they need to re-involve the kids in again. And I know on match days they are now talking to the kids and stuff before the games, and at half time. But I feel like that was a huge driving factor. We went to so many games because of Kids for a Quid, and especially in times like now, that could make a family's evening or a month. You know, like we were all able to go for the football, adults a tenner, kids for a quid, 25 quid, you got a whole family night out. Like, it's stuff like that I remember from back in the day, that those were important things. And that got me as a Blues fan, was being able to attend so many games because they were affordable and stuff. So if we could bring back something like that, even for cup games, that'd be cool.
Just to elaborate on this comment, they have just put a spoiler out for Zakiri. So I believe that Zakiri has gone Trabzonspor. Billy's put Plymouth signed Mustafa Bundu. Unfortunately, Billy, have no clue who that is. So Logan said one of his favourite players was Walter Pandiani.
The rifle.
Yeah. Gary's put first memory. My first home game I can remember was the last game for the old stand, going 2-0 down against Bristol City, if you remember right. Correctly coming back to 2-2, but still going down in goal difference. I remember going Blackburn away. Blackburn at home, even last game of the season, we had to win, depend on other results. And they basically said if there was one game, if it finished a draw, we needed to win 4-0 to stay up. And we won 4-0 to stay up, and in the 93rd minute, the team that we needed to equalise scored, and we got relegated after beating Blackburn 4-0 last game of the season. But they happen. What else we got?
It's all part of the joys and sorrows.
Rob Plaster just put Sam Cosgrove moves to Barnsley has a great chance. I will assume that he's got in and now that's happened. It was Trevor Francis really who got me into the team in 1970s. Used to follow him like mad when he was in the team and gutted when he signed for Forest. Yeah, a lot of people said that they were gutted when he signed for Forest. Obviously, rest in peace, Trevor Francis. Like, he was a legend at Blues, but he did what he could for us, and he brought us £1 million and one of those. Obviously, he had a great career after that, so just a shame that I weren't around to see it. Used to bump into Trevor in the park each Sunday morning in Solihull until he died. Nice guy who would stop and say hello and chat. Yeah. You've seen a lot of people putting online at the moment. Obviously, unfortunately, passed away last month. So a lot of people saying that generally down to earth, he was a nice guy. He used to stop and talk to people, and he'd stop and say hello to the kids. And it was that kind of person. It wasn't just a arrogant football player. He generally had time for the fans and stuff. So, leading on to arrogant players, Logan's put, what about David Dunn? What a player, but we met him a few times outside the ground and he was arrogant as anything. But he was a good player until he tried that Rabona and failed.
Still hilarious, though.
Yeah. I think one of my favourite players ever, it's got to be Mikkel Forsau. I used to absolutely love him. He was great up front. Him and Horsfield, probably up there as one of the best. One of my favourites.
Savage. I loved him.
Until you got a new shirt.
He's still, to this day, the only player I've ever had on the back of my shirt other than my name, because I got Savage written on my shirt, and then, 3 weeks later, he signed for Blackburn. I was fuming. The club even did an offer to have Savage on your shirt. So I had it done, and then 3 weeks later, signing for Blackburn. I was fuming. Thankfully, the club at the time, because they did the offer so close, they actually offered to have a free name put on them, like any other player. And I'm like, I just have my name. That's fine.
Feed the horse and feed the force. Still loads of tickets available for Millwall. Would have thought this would have sold out. Yes, if you haven't got your tickets already, get your tickets for Millwall. Let's get tomorrow sold out again and get St Andrews rocking. I'm most excited by our new signing, Ivan Sunjic. We keep saying this. He is insane so far this season and great player. Alex wants opinions on Chelsea spending over £1 billion under Todd Bealey. The guy's deluded and obviously has more money than sense. But I think that's ridiculous to be spending £1 billion.
Well.
Yeah. Obviously, they've signed Cole Palmer today for $40 million. I think
they've paid $40 million for him.
For Cole Palmer, yeah.
Wow.
I was talking to some lads earlier talking about spending big money. Saudi Arabia, Al Ittihad, £150 million rejected from Mo Salah, and they've now coming back with a second offer of £200 million plus $25 million in add-ons. That is ridiculous money for a player.
But let's be honest, that's too much money, isn't it?
It's ridiculous. But
Trevor Francis was the first ever £1 million player, and we're now talking about a £200 million player. That's ridiculous.
My first game midweek with my granddad, dad, and Alice's brother. I remember the smell of cigars, the floodlights, and sun on the cop. I was 8, and it was in the 70s. Logan, Forsau, 100% player.
Great player.
Great player. And then he puts in Heskey, lol. Great player as well. I think back in the day he was just a big unit up front, weren't he? So Rich has put Ivan the Great. And then put Salag. I don't know who. Salah.
Mo Salah.
Kristen Dom is. So where do you think the boys will finish in the league? I'll go out and say 10th.
If I'm putting my money on it, I'll go 8th.
Would accept that. Then you can get a player the same quality and younger.
What, 200 million are you on about, Alex?
Yeah, Salah's been offered at 1.5 million a week.
That's ridiculous. Would I accept it? Yeah, I'd buy a whole new club for £200 million. Imagine what you could do to Birmingham City with £200 million.
Was Heskey our first £6 million player? Not really sure, but it's a lot different to being a £200 million player. That's for sure. Christophe de Gary was Williams' choice. Was a good player. Francis was in his prime. Salah was 31 and had a poorish last season. I'd cash in on him for that sort of money. I think anyone with a common sense, Phil, would cash in on that because I don't see how Liverpool didn't accept 150 million. That's a bit stupid not to. Don't forget Seb, my day's player and half. Seb Larson was a great player.
Here's a question for the older boys in the chat. If Francis was in his prime now, what would he be worth? Yeah.
Talk about seeing that. Have you seen they did a Premier League's all-time 11 at what they would be worth now. And they reckon that Petr Cech would be worth £121 million in this modern day football. Didier Drogba was about £180 million. And it was ridiculous to see this 11. Rich, £150 million for Francis. I'd take it, mate. Definitely gets the Tilton and Cop fix for that. You can't turn down 1.5 million per week, no matter how rich you are. He's gone. I don't think it's him rejecting him. I think it's the owners. But yeah, they've done this 11, and it's literally full of Man United and Chelsea players from the greatest Premier League 11 of 2010 or something.
And no Arsenal.
No Arsenal.
They were unbeaten. How have they not made it?
No, so this is I think it was 2007 to 2010 or something like when Man United and Chelsea were dominating. There's Ricardo Carvalho, John Terry, Lampard, Rooney and stuff like this in the team. And it was honestly a ridiculous team. But the total worth of the team was something like £3.4 billion. And when they put the price next to how much the team was actually worth being sold at, it was something like 78 million.
It's ridiculous, that.
Yeah. Predictions for tomorrow, everyone. I'm going to go 2-1 Blues.
4-0 Blues.
Let us know what you think. Hard to judge that because different playing style nowadays. It is a completely different style of play, but you look at stats. Edgy also saying 2-1 Blues. JMF. Trevor Francis would be worth over 100 million. Good player, plus being English increases value anyway. £400 million for Fowler to Liverpool.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. No one has mentioned Robbie Savage. Logan. Kieran did. It was his favourite player. And then he got messed around. Alan's going 1-1. Rich has gone 2-0 with a Hogan from Brace. Daniel's gone 2-0 to the Blue Boys. So obviously expecting to score goals tomorrow, a couple of goals tomorrow and go from there. Obviously we'll see if we're going to get any new players in the starting 11. I feel like we're going to have a strong team tomorrow. Strong backing with the Cop, with Tilton.
321. Wow, that's some game. No, we could obviously know that's 3-2 to Blues.
Yeah, so we've got
I'd love it to be 321. I'd be happy to concede 3 goals if we put 21 past them. What's Darren Whitcoop saying now?
Darren Whitcoop has said that basically reported that the Ollie Burt move could still be on, and that's basically still happening. Mark Ritz has said 3-0 Blues. JMF 3-1 Blues. Mark 3-1 Blues. Kristen Dom 24-0 Blues.
Yes, there's where my money's going.
Ruddy with a hat trick. That's where I'll go.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got. If you say 4-0, who scores?
I think Hogan gets 1. I think Stansfield gets 2. And I think someone like Dion I get another one.
Kristen, I'm going 3-1 Blues. Mark's on 3-1 Blues. Billy 3-2 Blues. Logan going 1-0 Blues. So, but
the optimism in our fans at the moment is just so good, isn't it? Like
it's good to see.
In Millwall, we'll be happy with a draw today. Ain't no one saying they're happy with a draw.
Of course, Darren Whitkeep, the Oliver Burt to Birmingham from Word of Bremen is still a potential deal. It's been dragging on all day to get the deal complete.
Barca have signed João Felix. Yeah, well, that's because they've just let Ansu Fati go to Brighton.
What a good sign what a team Brighton have become this season, though. I
reckon they're outsiders for top 4 or 5. Like, genuinely, the football they're playing.
If you talk about top 4, though, you've got to be talking about Newcastle's Champions League group stage. PSG, AC Milan, Borussia Dortmund, and Newcastle. Talk about the toughest group going.
That is dream away days, though.
Daniel, we've summed it up. To be fair, cannot be sad if nobody else comes in. We've had a fantastic window. Enjoyed tonight, gents. Great podcast. Keep it on. Thank you, Rich. And with that one, I'll leave it on that note. We are actually going to end the broadcast now. Thank you all for joining us. Obviously, check out our social medias at Blues Focus on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. We are starting a new Twitch channel, so be sure to join us there. We will be going on a live space at 10:30, as mentioned on Twitter, just to complete the last hour of the transfer window and just discuss all that. So catch us over there. So it's goodbye from me. Keep right on, gents.
And it's goodbye from me. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Keep right on, right the way to the end of the road, guys. Let's go. Yeah. Keep up this positive attitudes.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Follow us for more, and you'll see what we've got coming future for yourselves. So keep on. Take it easy, everyone, and enjoy your Friday night. Bye.
Bye-bye.